The Buffalo Sabres are coming back east, following taking 7 of 8 points following their overtime loss against Anaheim last night. Paul Hamilton has more on this up at our website, WGR550.com. And in terms of game action, it's going to be a few days off for the Sabres. They're back in action on Wednesday at home when they take on Boston. Tonight in the NHL, just a single game, 7:30, the Rangers, they host the Ottawa Senators. In the NFL, wide receiver Jackson Smith-Njigba and the Seattle Seahawks did reach an agreement on a 4-year, $168.6 million contract. $120 million of that is guaranteed. And with this, Smith-Njigba is now the highest paid wide receiver in NFL history. And the Chiefs officially signed tight end Travis Kelce to a 3-year extension. It's for $54.7 million. It can be worth up to $57.7 million. And baseball is back. Opening night is live on Netflix this Wednesday, March 25th. Aaron Judge and the New York Yankees clash with Rafael Devers and the San Francisco Giants. MLB opening night, Yankees-Giants, live on Netflix, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. At your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
All right, what's the report from outside?
I was outside for maybe 3 minutes. I counted 8 Q-tips. It's got to be one person that just throws their Q-tips out the window when they're done using them in their cars.
It's Mike Schopp.
One person?
More than one person using Q-tips and throwing them outside?
I don't think I use 8 Q-tips in a year.
I think I've never used 8 Q-tips.
And the Bulldog.
What the hell is going on out there? I don't think I want to work in a place where people roll their windows down if they're using Q-tips for Lord knows what and just throw them on the ground.
Well, you do.
What, is it the 70s?
Oh, that's not very nice.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Driving on the highway 65 miles an hour. I get a little left in my soda from the fast food drive. Out the window. That was the 70s. Who gives an F about anything?
Throw a burrito out the window.
Nothing matters. 2025, what are you doing?
On WGR.
Throwing Q-tips out of your car.
Sports Radio 550.
Here we go. A week went by. We all stayed up pretty late. And in a sort of a funny outcome, nothing changed. The Sabres and the Lightning both went out west to different parts. The West is vast, Bulldog. You know, you've been out there.
Yeah,
You're going again soon for the Sabres playoffs. You're going to celebrate.
It's expansive.
It is expansive. You're going to celebrate game one by leaving and going a great distance.
That's correct, yes.
So the Sabres go to California, well, Vegas and then California. Tampa goes up into mostly Western Canada, and they mirrored each other. Win, overtime loss. Funny.
Yep.
So a week later, I mean, this is what you want when you're ahead. The situation is the same. The Lightning have the same 2 games in hand and a 4-point deficit. I, like so many, am super psyched for all of this, but I kind of decided that I just don't care really about first place except for that bet we have. Because I think we might need the Sabres to win the division.
In order to get Lindy Coach of the Year.
Yeah.
That'll win us a tidy little sum. Yeah.
Not bad, yeah.
Yeah.
But I really just don't see... Now, if I had tickets anymore, be thinking about home ice, and that would matter to me as a ticket holder. Game 1, Game 7, potentially, right? That's something. That's all I've got, really. I mean, I think I'm now the different milestones. I'm now on a Saturday night, I'm watching the Bruins play the Red Wings.
Right.
Okay, just...
That achievement level has been unlocked.
I'm taking it all in right now.
Right.
And, Chris Elliott on the old Letterman drinking the new and improved corn oil versus the old version, and he just sort of swigs these 2 bottles of oil and wipes his mouth and says, Dave, I really can't tell much of a difference. That's me watching these other teams. Columbus, the Islanders, 1-0. Last night, the Islanders beat Columbus. What's Pittsburgh, Montreal? Montreal blows out the Islanders. I don't know. How much is it worth to anybody, first place? What is it worth?
I feel like it's probably more worth aesthetics than anything else, which is just simply to say I went from last place to first place, and I'm the best team in the division or maybe even the conference. I don't, in all sports, I mean, we talk about this a lot in football, what's the bye worth, right? Is it home field or is it the rest? And it's always the rest. I mean, first place should, in theory, get you the more, the easier matchup. You're going to be playing, if you're first overall, you're playing the worst team in the conference that qualifies for the playoffs. If you're, first in the division but second in the conference, then you're playing the second worst team in the playoff pool by the standings, right? Like I've been saying for a week or more now, like if that ends up being Ottawa, I'm not really sure that that's a prize, But if it ends up being like Detroit is not in right now after all year they've been in, and right now they are a point out, I think, of a wild card spot. If it ends up being them, then that to me, that's really worth it. Because I think that looks to me to be the team that I would have the least, I feel least intimidated playing the Detroit Red Wings of the potential matchups in the conference.
Did you watch any of that game I mentioned with Boston?
I did not. No.
All right.
I did not see any of it.
2-2 mid-third, bad goal from outside, just beat Gibson, and Detroit lost. But really didn't feel like I've been riding with the Red Wings are the mark, and it didn't look like that so much. I'm not crunching data Saturday night, but it didn't really look like that versus Boston. They were dangerous.
Yeah.
They just lost.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like any team that's having a good year. I mean, they've been through it here. They haven't been in now in 9 years. They've stockpiled. They got some familiar veteran names. Obviously, Patrick Kane is there. DeBrincat has been around now. I mean, people know who they are. But like Lucas Raymond and Seider, like we haven't been paying that. I'm saying we collectively that close attention to those guys getting there and starting their careers. But they're really not. Like Seider is not yet. He kind of needs what Dahlin has needed, which is an elevation of the team for everyone to kind of notice, oh, hey, yeah, they've got a guy that's kind of big and mean and moves really well and plays a 200-foot game patrolling their blue line, but he's a relatively anonymous figure in the league to, I think, a lot of casual fans because Detroit hasn't meant anything, much like Buffalo hasn't meant anything. So there's good players there. Watching them, they're the least impressive to me. The least threatening to me offensively. Like I don't feel like they've got a ton there. They got a goalie with a big name and a big, like a reputation. He's never really won anything. He's had a reputation for being great on bad teams. Mostly Gibson. This is his first time like in the cockpit with a team that has a look at something. We'll see if that gets them anywhere, if that gives them a leg up over, whatever the Sabres are doing here with this tandem or whichever one they choose. Gibson doesn't have a lot of experience necessarily, but he's played a lot, playoff experience, I mean. But he's a name.
So about us, is anything different? I mean, the goalies you just mentioned, nothing has happened that would change any
No, I don't think
direction?
so. Like Lyon had his sort of blow-up game last night, maybe, if you want to, compare his 5 or 6 given up last night to Lukin in a couple Sundays before against Tampa. So they've had that. They, of course, were both a part of back-to-back shutouts earlier on this trip. No, I don't think anything has changed there. The one thing I would say, I mean, they only gave up 1 goal in the first 3 games of this trip. It was a power play goal. It was a beautiful play in L.A. for the Kings to get the 1-0 lead, and then the Sabres just sort of took off and hid with that game. But that was a power play goal. Last night was 3 power play goals against, including the game winner. And we have
the tying goal last night.
The tying goal. That's right. I went to overtime. Right. So either way, so 3 power play goals against. We tend to talk a lot. I know I do. Here come the playoffs. What kind of form is your power play in? I know on Friday even I was talking about how it's wild how electric I think the Sabres are often at 5-on-5 moving around the offensive zone, how they just move so effectively. And on the power play, they're kind of stagnant. Never really think about how important the penalty kill could be. It's the same concept, right? You don't want to give up power play goals. And so, giving up 4 in these last 2 games, including 3 last night, is not great. Like I'm gonna want to buckle that up. because that's been a strength of theirs all year. Their penalty kill has mostly been above that league average, I think.
They're still 6th.
So it's been really good, but, it cost them the game last night. I mean, I think 5-on-5, they should have walked out of there with a win, but 3 power play goals did you in.
Bulldog and I were texting yesterday about the game.
Is that what we were doing?
Well, I mean, I texted you. Yes, you responded. I texted you to point out that the over-under was 6.5 for that game, which, like you said, they'd given up 1 goal in 3 games.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing with 6.5?
Mm-hmm.
So hammered it. And, I mean, it was a joyride. I mean, right, the whole game was 2-2 after 1 and cleared the bar easily. I mean, this is for anybody. As we get closer and closer to it, it's another opportunity to sort of like reflect on how much you trust it. It's just still so close with the whole group of playoff teams that I think the right approach, the right perspective on it is has been really amazing. All full marks to everybody for like what's happened here. And it's been, I mean, a big relief and a huge delight to see them go on these winning streaks and go to the top, and the caliber of games, all of it has been so enjoyable. And I think I probably said this a few times last week, and I don't think anything really has changed this. I mean, the other teams are winning too. Probably whether they finish first or second, I mean, third's different. That's still possible. Mm-hmm. If they finish first or second, they're home for somebody that they will probably look really similar to as, an overall team.
Yep.
And they'd be a slight favorite. I can't imagine them being a series underdog in round 1 if they finish in the top 2 in their division to anybody. Even Montreal, I think, if that's 2-3.
Yeah.
Maybe it's close to even money. But I'm just like, you're going to have to win. I mean, who wants to look at it this way? I know, but you're going to have to win 4 coin flips.
I think the only team in the entire conference that has a reputation that might warrant being a significant favorite at all might be Tampa. Because Carolina even has a history of having these incredible seasons, 110 points, whatever type seasons, and then they just don't. Whatever it is, if it's as bound up as their style of play doesn't win in the playoffs, I don't know, but they just haven't come through. So I don't think that they'll be, however they finish in the top spot. I would predict Tampa is the heaviest underdog, almost no matter who they play.
Yeah.
Favorite in the Eastern Conference. When those 4 matchups are determined, I'll bet they're, minus 130 or 140 or something, and everything else is close to even money. Because I think that's what the conference looks like. Tampa, though, is like pedigree. They've got the goalie. They've got Kucherov. They've got the coach of the year candidate. Sorry. They just have they've got history on their side. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't have to mean anything. But it does.
History, and also, like, this version is really good.
That's right. That's right. They're not resting on any laurels. These Tampa Bay Lightning. But there's enough familiarity there. I mostly just want them to finish first, the Sabres, because I think they'll have to finish the season strong to end up in first. And I'd like to get through this last month without any crises at all, right? I mean, they've just been so excellent for so long, and I'd like to see them. What do they got? 11 games left. I'd like to see them win 7 or 8 of those. And I think 7 or 8 of those probably gets it done. But I don't know, not for sure. The game with Tampa obviously will weigh heavily. Tampa does still have, as you already mentioned, the 2 games in hand. So it'll take a little while for that to finally even out. I think like the second to last week of the season, Tampa finally, I think, gets even on games with the Sabres.
So 7 wins of the last 11 games without adding in any overtime points is 109. What a number.
Yeah.
The Lightning have 13 games left, and to get to 109, that's 18 points, so 9 wins, so 9-4. They do have a game against each other.
Right. Yeah. And that won't, finishing strong, getting the division, That doesn't guarantee you're going to just roll through, just like you've mentioned it a few times, right? The 05-06 team lost 8 of 9 late in the year.
And then won 5 of 6 to cap it, I think.
Okay.
But yes.
But they got bumpy, then they got back on track, and then they rolled through a couple rounds. It doesn't have to inform anything about what their playoff how we'll feel about it. They've had such a good run here that I want to just see it continue right into the playoffs. And then that to me probably means you're finishing in first. Like if you're not faltering here in any way, I think you should be able to get it home with a 4-point lead, even with the games in hand.
Their schedules have just, since I started paying attention to it, I mean, last week we talked about how they both had the 4 Western games, in different areas, and they had exactly the same results, 3 wins, and then the overtime loss last night for each team. And the Sabres now have 4 straight at home. Tampa has 7 straight at home starting tomorrow against Minnesota, and then 4 on the road, including the game here, and then 2 at home to end it. 2 with Ottawa, 2 with Montreal, still on the Lightning schedule. Sabres have Boston, Detroit, Seattle, and the Islanders in their next 4 games. How much is first place really worth? You're talking about aesthetics, maybe a little bit about momentum.
Yeah, I guess.
You get a banner.
Mm-hmm.
If you want it, you get a banner for first place, right?
Oh, I want it.
You want the banner?
I want something new hanging up there. If for no other reason, just to see how they design it and what how it matches, because everything is. Although I know they sort of
can't win.
I know, right? It's such a mishmash.
You can't win.
Yeah, but yeah, no. I mean, you have a look at it. I feel a little bit like saying I don't care about it is like buffering for them to fumble here.
I know, I feel that too.
And
rationalizing.
And again, it doesn't have to mean anything to their. They're gonna have to get their breath at some point, and if that is at the expense of some little slump here, like okay, I guess. But I just like that they seem to, whether they're absolutely at their best every night or not. I mean, I don't think you can always tell. They are finding ways. And even last night, I mean, down 2 to rally to take a lead. It was short-lived, but they still got off the mat there. And they just have developed so many good habits that I think it would be encouraging to see, because the playoffs, you're almost certainly not going to be at your best every night in the playoffs, especially the longer you go. I mean, it is a grueling mental and physical endeavor to do it. So being able to win games here when you're not your first game back after the road trip. That's Wednesday, right, against Boston. Lindy already mentioned it, I think, last night after the game.
Oh no.
So like there's that, and but find ways to get points and win games, and like I think that would just continue to be a very promising sign. So it's more about that than it is the benefit of playing whatever, the 7 or 8 seed.
One of the best things about the playoffs is you never have to hear anybody point out that teams coming back from a Western road trip are in trouble, because they're only in trouble when they lose. I mean, the data has nothing for it, but, oh, well, okay, we're going to have to listen to that for a few days. I'll be going Wednesday, and I'm expecting the absolute peak experience.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe for once I'll get that hot dog even.
Oh boy, the hot dog of the night,
hot dog
of the game. Is that what it's? I forgot what it's called now.
Yeah.
Funny how we haven't really thought about. I haven't been asked to tweet pictures of the hot dog. Not that the Sabres were ever doing it, but certain fans were sending Jeremy and myself that sign every game, and they've gotten good here. And like I haven't thought about the hot dog of the game once, not even one time.
We're not looking for something to distract us from the fact that the team is at the bottom of the standings again. This year they're not. So, yeah, good. We will talk to Paul Hamilton later on to recap the trip and look ahead to now it's 4 straight at home, as we said. Only the one game in the NHL tonight. Ottawa plays at the Rangers. Tomorrow, though, it's not Buffalo, but kind of like everybody else. Yep. Carolina, Montreal tomorrow. Minnesota, Tampa is TNT. Ottawa, Detroit. Ottawa, another one. Like last week, we discussed it. I mean, are they feeling the pressure a little bit? Like they're not making much ground up.
No.
For as much as people like their their metrics.
Yeah, they're 7-2-1 in their last 10, and they're still 5 points away from a spot. I read that this game tonight, the only game in the NHL tonight, is Ottawa at the Rangers, right? I saw it has a 20 percentage point swing in playoff odds. If they win tonight, they'd be around 60% to make it. Ottawa, a regulation loss drops them to around 40. I think an overtime loss splits it. It might be 50% or so, but a regulation loss is 20% in the odds to not make it.
Yeah, this would be a tough one for them to lose.
Yeah,
I mean they're close to minus 200 tonight. I saw, and then at Detroit tomorrow, Ottawa. So back to back.
Right.
Columbus at Philadelphia tomorrow. I saw a little bit of Columbus beating Seattle recently, whatever night that was, maybe Friday or maybe Saturday. But then yesterday they get shut out at the Islanders. So still right on the, Columbus is in a wild card now.
No, they're I have them, my standings say they are ahead of the Islanders. They played one fewer game. So that points percentage. So yeah, but they have the same 85 points, both teams. So they'll be pushing back and forth probably the rest of the way here.
Got a Pittsburgh thought? They have the Avalanche tomorrow night. They just won in Denver last week, big
like 7-2 or something. I think was the score of that game, or the big offensive game. I'm not buying Pittsburgh. I'm not worried. I guess they could drop out. They're only a point out of a wild card spot. Sitting second in that division. So they could end up in a spot where you could have to deal with them. I'm going to work hard not to be freaked out about the legendary status of 3 or 4 of the guys in that lineup. I just think overall, I don't really feel great about Stuart Skinner, and I don't think that's a team that's super deep.
I would love to draw them.
Yeah.
I think. That might be my favorite idea now. Detroit's still a pretty good result, I think. I just like the Detroit piece is not just whether they're the worst team in the bunch. If they are, it's not going to be by that much.
Right.
But it's more just like there's no real Sabres, Red Wings history that means anything. And there should be some. Mm-hmm. I mean, they just were never in the same division or conference forever.
The most interesting thing the two teams have ever done with one another is maybe the Danny Gare, Jim Schoenfeld trade.
Or Hasek.
Right.
There's trade history.
Transactions. That's it. There's not any. Yeah, there's no hockey, really. I mean, they're like the Leafs, though. For a while there, they were in the other conference too, even though they were always just kind of right over there.
And that's still kind of to this point only ended up being 99. Toronto.
Right, with Toronto, right?
I mean, the Sabres drought has precluded them from continuing any of these rivalries, but. I like that about the Red Wings. I could see it being really fun to talk about, as I've said, fans going to the other buildings and just getting after each other. But Pittsburgh is close. I mean, Pittsburgh's almost the same drive, maybe a little less. And there is some history with the Penguins, and it's Crosby and Malkin. And they've got a long time since really doing anything, too.
Yeah, that's right.
So I think I'd put that right up there with Detroit. Montreal's going to scare me. Boston probably does in a different way. And then Columbus, I guess I have to say I'd kind of be a little bored.
Yeah.
Just not bored isn't the word. I'm sorry, Columbus.
Right. No,
it won't feel like the playoffs, maybe. I don't know.
If you're talking about Montreal, Boston, and Detroit, and even Ottawa, and then you mix they just do not measure up fan-wise. It doesn't mean that the Sabres will beat them in 3 games or something. I know it's a best of 7.
Also makeable drive.
But right. But no, they just don't have the panache of any of these other. I mean, they don't have history with hardly anybody.
Sabres fans would be all into that building in Columbus, I think. They think they do okay, but we'd get there.
Yeah, I think so. Yes.
All right. Sabre thoughts. The West Coast trip is over. 7 out of 8 points. First place, how much is it worth to you? Does it matter much? 803-0550 for your calls. I mentioned Paul later. Sal Capaccio today. That'll be at 4, talking about the latest draft speculation and everything else going on around the NFL, because there's always something. And so we'll have Sal for you at 4 today. Lines are open for your calls. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here, WGR.
Point for your club, but again, with a little over 2 minutes left, getting the lead, you'd like to be able to hold that. I think the penalty we took a couple bad penalties in the first period, and then the penalty we took there late really hurt us. But to get 7 out of 8 points in the road trip and to battle back from being 2 down to take the lead, I mean, it was a good effort. I mean, back-to-back games, you make some mistakes. We made some, and they took advantage. They made a few, and we took advantage.
Lindy Ruff, the late penalty was on Alex Tuck. I mean, probably a little much to say it looked like an accident, but it's one that I guess you'd always expect to be called. Just a little mix-up around the red line, and they got burned. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here. Thanks for being with us. You want to talk Sabres? 803-0550 is our number. We're here for it. Ask me all the baseball questions now, buddy, after 2 weekends of baseball drafts. Oh, I'm caught up. Better to be caught up before the drafts, I would have to admit, to be prepared for them.
Sure, yeah.
Now you can kind of get away with it, though, because of all the different sites and everything, to sort of like use the cheat sheet approach.
Oh, I saw someone celebrating the fact that the Red Sox had decided somebody was their starting second baseman. And it seemed like maybe that was a job that there was a battle there, and there was maybe someone sort of preordained, like that had rank. I think the way I read the tweet was, yay, they're doing the right thing. This guy has earned the job. But it wasn't a name I was real familiar with when I saw it. So.
Is it Durbin? Mayor.
Yeah, no, it's Mayor. Yeah.
Durbin's playing third.
Yeah, okay.
I guess I can't answer all the baseball questions.
Well, sorry. I thought that was a pretty easy one.
It probably was. Starting lineups, I kind of probably should know that at this point, but.
Well, I'm the Red Sox fan in the room, and I'm not even sure what the guy's name is. So,
I just know that Roman Anthony has Buffalo ties. Maybe his father is from here, and I know at least one of his cousins who lives here.
All right.
So that I know. That's my Red Sox trivia, is that one of the top well, last year I think he was number 1.
Yeah.
Prospect in the game. Now he's, I guess, going to DH for them. But, yeah, it's a new Red Sox, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Almost everywhere.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, they started last season like Devers was the holdover, and then they moved him out. And yeah, all like younger. And there's old. Trevor Story is still there. I mean, not that he's like some great old Red Sox, but he's an older player who played for them last year, and I think will be their shortstop again.
No, they might not have anybody that was on the team 5 years ago.
Yeah, right.
Right. Or the ish.
It's really turned over. Yeah, and it's a lot of bright young. I mean, Anthony's one of the best, prospects in the game.
Yeah.
So they've got a bit of that. Like it seems like every time a trade is being pondered, it's like 5th best prospect or what? They got a pool of guys. So.
But are they participating in the 999 challenge? That's what matters.
Yeah.
We had this conversation last week. Today it came back into my mind because Twitter was promoting how baseball itself promoted that 5 other teams now, 6 teams in total.
Doing the 999 challenge?
Yes, and I recognize that like there's an element of it being official here. There's a box made for this.
Mm-hmm.
9 hot dogs, 9 beers in 9 innings. They have a special Major League Baseball approved commemorative box that houses the hot dogs and the beer. They're like half size both. They look like, maybe half.
Yeah, I saw the Mets graphic that you mentioned last week, and the hot dogs definitely look small.
Not full size hot dogs or beer.
Yeah.
But I just don't get any of it. Why does it have to be made official? I can go to literally anywhere and buy 9 hot dogs and 9 beers. I wouldn't.
No.
But I'd rather, if I'm going to consume that, I'd rather it not all be on my lap by the top of the first.
Yeah, I think I might want to just go in stages.
Stages.
Give me 2 hot dogs and a beer to start, and I'm going to go as needed the rest of the afternoon or evening to refill my box. Like if you need me to hang on to wrappers or something, or you want to give me the box and there's clear spot, like there's a seal on the spot for the ones that haven't been used yet, so you can keep track of how much I've consumed. Whatever you got to do it, I don't care. But I am not walking away from a concession stand with 9 cups of beer and 9 hot dogs. This is not happening. Those beers are going to be disgusting in 20 minutes.
the hot dogs get cold and the beer gets warm.
Right.
And by the time you're
no
into
thanks.
by the time the Rays are into their bullpen,
Right.
I mean, you're sitting there, you're not hungry anymore, and you're sitting there with all this, food and drink, and you don't win anything. As far as I know, I've yet to see any sort of a challenge. Usually comes with a reward.
Yeah.
Like I was at a bar on Saturday for this draft, and they have one of these promotions where, like, if you get the pizza with the sub on it, with the wings on it, like, basically everything on their menu is one food item, and if you can eat it, while you're sitting there in a certain amount of time, then you get a prize, like you get a gift card or something.
Yeah.
They reward you. What do I get for completing the 999 challenge? What? And even if I don't get like a ticket, to a future game, even if I don't, am I bragging about it? Am I boasting that I did it? Am I like? I mean, some people would. You're going to go to Twitter or wherever and see, I completed.
I did it.
Show the empty box.
Yeah.
And okay, great. Wow.
Yeah, I want a voucher for a future game. If you want to make sure it's not like an interleague game against the Yankees or something because that's too valuable, okay, fine. But just give me a voucher for like a non-premium game and I'm good.
And they're not going to do that because they're not going to stand there and watch you eat. It's not a hot dog eating contest. No intern is coming down to your seat to stand next to you. Right? I mean, that's probably right. They're not going to give you anything because they're not going to know that you actually did it.
Right. So why do it? Why
do it?
What's the point?
I don't. Why? So I know. I believe me. I don't have to be told this. But what's the value in it for baseball? Well, people talking about it is one thing, but I don't know. Like, is whatever team you want, the Pirates. Like, are the Pirates better off if I buy the 999? Than if I just go back to the concession stand 4 times during the game? Is it like a better deal for the Pirates? I guess this way, and I don't even know the prices. I guess this way they lock in the money they get for 9 hot dogs and 9 beers. But still, like, is that even good for them? It's not like this business is hard up.
And what are we doing exactly with changing the size? These aren't regulation size hot dogs nor beers.
Doesn't appear
so. What's the? It's not really 9 hot dogs. It's 9 of a thing that previously has not been on the menu. It's 9 smaller economy sized hot dogs and 9 smaller economy sized beers. Thanks. Like I just the whole concept is just a waste of time to me.
I know.
I just don't. If I were playing for something other than, again, and maybe this appeals to some people that are much younger than me. My friends and I, we're bragging rights on the 9. Okay, maybe. But like that's it. That's as solid a reason to have the promotion as you can get. Well, maybe some 22-year-olds will enjoy it. The whole thing just seems asinine to me. Like, I'm not buying that to feed my family. Right? I mean,
9 beers.
And I don't really want 9 little hot dogs. I'd like just 2 regular hot dogs, please. I don't need little mini. I know these aren't like cocktail weeders. But
well,
still,
I was waiting to say that.
They're still, if they're shrunken, then what are we doing?
Is that 9 hot dogs if I eat 9 of those?
No.
No one would say that.
No.
I don't see why this is a thing. And to sort of showcase the 6 teams, that's what they did in a tweet today. It's a picture of 6 boxes with 6 different, logos on it, and they listed each team and the name of the stadium. Why does that mean I can't get the same at one of the other stadiums? I guess they just won't have the minis.
Now, if you want to go full on, like, these sort of party areas are all the rage, right, in ballparks, right? Like, people like to be standing around like it's a lounge. Okay,
that's me.
You want to create a pavilion where this 999 business is going to go down, and you've got like a half a dozen or more. I don't know how many you would need. I don't know how populated this area would be. If I weren't participating, it doesn't seem like a place that I'd want to go. But you want to have like an area that is for this challenge where you're going to buy it, you're going to sit there, and we're going to watch you eat it, and then you're going to get a voucher for a future game. You want to do that? Like, okay, that makes a little more sense to me. All right, you're incentivizing me to gorge myself, but whatever. I'm going to get a free ticket out of it to a future game. And you don't have to follow me around because in order to participate, I'm doing it here. You've created a venue for me and my crazy gorging friends, and we're going to take you up on it. Okay, that's fine. You want to promote it during the games. You're going to have your team reporter out there showcasing these people that are trying to, drink 9 beers at once. Maybe that way you don't have to get all 9 beers and have them get warm. You can get one at a time. But you got to drink 9 through the 9 innings. Create that area. But
9 beers.
The rest of it, even I'm trying way too hard.
And then you're driving home.
Right.
9 beers.
Probably.
9 beers.
9 beers is a lot.
I like that scene. Like for the Bisons, that's where I want to be. Not every time, but where you're sort of walking around because the result of the game is almost completely meaningless to me. And maybe in the majors it's a little different, but like if I went to Major League Baseball games fairly often, that's what I would want. And that has been the trend. Remember talking to Paul last week about the Las Vegas arena and how he's like, oh, it's super cool. They have 4 bars on the upper level in every corner. I think every team would want that. You just, are not going to knock down your building for it necessarily.
Right.
But I remember many years ago with the Sabres talking to one of their top people and like, wouldn't it be great? The Oakland A's were the first. Has the show ever sounded older? The Oakland A's were the first team where I read about. They had this whole like all you can eat and drink section. Like just come.
Right.
Maybe it's $1 to get in, and then you're just going to eat and
roam
drink,
around, right?
And they'll make their money. And so they established that, and other teams would have done the same thing. I remember talking to somebody with the Sabres, like, wouldn't that be pretty cool? He's like, I wish we could do it. We just don't have the setup for it.
I have family friends who go to Cleveland semi-regularly, and the one guy, I don't have the whole thing nailed down, but I think there's a really cheap ticket you can buy that includes a first beer, and it's like you don't really get a seat. It's just like you're in this pavilion area. It's a standing room section, but it's Cleveland, so like a Wednesday night, you're probably finding a place to sit if you want to, but the ticket is offset by like the cost of the beer is whatever it is, and you're already half the ticket is already paid for basically because of the free beer.
Yeah, that's the same.
And
same idea.
No seat, you're just in, and I think they are pretty lax about when it's 12,000 people on a Wednesday night. You can just sort of roam around and grab a seat and fine.
Yeah, I don't know how strict that would be, but it's probably doable.
It's a pretty good deal if you just want to go, get in the game. Like I would do that if I live that close and like as close as I do to the Bison's Park. I mean, that's an easy one. But it's Major League Baseball and I'm in for $20 and I get a beer. Great.
Yep, me too. Feel the same. We'll talk to Sal Capaccio coming up in about 20 minutes. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here at 803-0550. Did you stay up with the Sabres through the weekend? I mean, it wasn't that late last night, and Saturday was a day game, but 10 o'clock games earlier. And they did great. Just let last night get away in the end to Anaheim. Let us know how you're feeling. We'll talk to Sal at 4. This is WGR. The Sabres rip off 3 regulation wins, then lose in overtime last night. Tampa Bay does the same thing. That's original. Good one, Tampa Bay. Great idea. Let's copy them. Sabres with 11 games to go. No team has played more than their 71. Next up is Boston, 7:30 Wednesday night. Tampa has Minnesota tomorrow. And the Lightning have 7 in a row at home now, starting with that game tomorrow. 803-0550 for your calls. How much of the tournament did you watch this weekend?
I think I probably have never watched less than what I watched. Even with it being in Saturday noon, it was Michigan I think was the early game Saturday, and so I happened to be home, and then I went out and it was on for a while where I was, but then hockey started even before the Sabres game. There was an NHL game that was on that took precedence where I was, so that was the end of it for me. And then, I don't think I looked in again on Saturday night. I was out for the game, Sabres game, into the early evening, and didn't even find out till Sunday morning that I got bounced from Survivor.
Oh, you did tell me that.
With Gonzaga losing. I did not watch a ton. I a little bit early Saturday, and that was really kind of it. What did I miss?
Did you see the Vanderbilt shot that didn't go in?
I did not.
Oh, check. Warren Sharp has it. The replay, slow motion.
Okay.
Vanderbilt, Nebraska, desperation heave. I think from beyond midcourt, down 2, as time has run out. So, 3-pointer to win it from that far out.
Mm-hmm.
And the ball. Warren tweeted a picture of the ball looking like it's just like perfectly dead center going in, and it missed.
Oh, geez, yeah. Yeah, I'm looking at that now.
Crazy.
Yeah, wow.
So Nebraska and Iowa is the game.
They
beat Florida.
Those should be rivals.
Nebraska and Iowa?
Yeah.
I guess.
They're corn, Midwest.
Yeah. I've driven from Nebraska to Iowa. Maybe you have too. You haven't been to Nebraska.
I've never really been to Nebraska. No, Iowa, and then up to the Dakotas is where my hockey travels took me.
You snubbed Nebraska.
I did. I snubbed Nebraska. No, never had to go.
Winner gets Illinois, maybe. So there's some more rivalries for you.
Right.
Yesterday I learned Purdue has made the regional semifinals, right? So final 16. I'm not sure if I can use the S word there.
Okay.
Legally.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
For the 7th time in 9 years, did you realize that Purdue was so consistently good?
No.
Another team from the middle.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Well, the Midwest. Have a day.
How did Tony do?
It's almost like all these teams should be they should be maybe
in a conference together.
In a conference together.
Yeah. They are.
In the middle, yeah.
They are.
They are, actually, yeah. Sorry.
As it happens this time, they are.
Narrator. They actually are, Bulldog. Thank you, narrator.
How did Tony do?
Tony. Oh, the guy from the casino?
Tony,
yeah. I don't know.
St. John's is still playing.
Yeah, right.
That might be it.
I did see some of that, too, yesterday. Or was that
St. John's,
yesterday?
Kansas?
Yeah. Yeah, I was watching that yesterday for a while.
Close.
So I forgot about that. You mentioned them, and I realized that I did. Yeah, there were some big shots in that game.
Oh.
So is St. John's the only New York school left then?
Probably.
All right. Yeah, I don't know. I
LIU didn't win.
Right.
Hofstra.
Siena lost on
Siena.
They had that 13-point lead.
Good battle, good effort.
Yeah.
And there might have been one more. So Tony from the casino said we were there on
Thursday. He wanted all the New York teams out.
Yeah, he's like, people can't bet the New York team, so we want them to lose. And that's makes sense. I get it. Okay, we'll have Sal coming up here at the top of the hour. Did you read about this? Maybe there's not. I'm kind of hesitating because there's not much time to really talk about anything here. The guy from Ireland, the rugby player who was looking at colleges, he's like 6'7" and
I guess
massively big.
I did not see this.
Sam Monson retweeted a story about him. Loves his fellow Irishman.
Sure. Well, Sam, yeah, sure. You should fly the flag, Sam.
Looking to take up American football somewhere. Neff Jiwa is his name. Now you know that. Sal next on WGR.
The Buffalo Sabres are heading back east after taking 7 of 8 points following their overtime loss last night against Anaheim. Paul Hamilton does have more up at our website, WGR550.com, and do stay tuned. We'll hear from Paul Hamilton a little bit later on in the show for the latest on the Sabres. But the team will be back in game action in a few days. They return home on Wednesday versus Boston. Tonight, though, in the NHL, just one game, 7:30, the Rangers. They do host the Ottawa Senators. In football, wide receiver Jackson Smith-Njigba and the Seattle Seahawks did reach an agreement today on a 4-year, $168.6 million contract. $120 million of that is guaranteed. And with this, Smith-Njigba is now the highest paid wide receiver in NFL history. And the Chiefs have officially signed tight end Travis Kelce to a 3-year extension. It's for $54.7 million, but can be worth up to $57.7 million. And we'll get the latest on the NFL. Sal Capaccio joining the show next. And baseball is back. Opening night is live on Netflix this Wednesday, March 25th. Aaron Judge and the New York Yankees clash with Rafael Devers and the San Francisco Giants, and will be opening night Yankees-Giants live on Netflix, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
Another old complaint for the pile of old complaints. Maybe this could still apply to some, to you even. When we used to complain that they took opening day out of Cincinnati.
Oh, yeah.
Opening day needs to be in Cincinnati every year, no matter what, in the afternoon.
Their games start at 1 o'clock. Everyone else can start after that, but that is the opening of the season.
It has to be in Cincinnati.
Yes.
For some reason,
Yep.
The oldest franchise, that's why we have, and people stopped, I think mostly stopped complaining about that. Now what we have is, this year, Wednesday night. And Sal's going to be ready for it. Yankees and Giants, Wednesday night, is the only game.
All right.
Standalone game, no other games in the majors on Wednesday. That I think there might be a spring training game, but I don't think so. I think Wednesday is only about that game in San Francisco. So here we go, Sal. Here's the baseball season for you.
It's amazing. Starting earlier and earlier. Same thing with the International League schedule, the Bisons. They're starting Friday. Like the Bisons are opening this week, guys. It's crazy, right? We see this. So I'm listening to the update, and I hear Zach say the Yankees are taking on Rafael Devers and the Giants, and I'm like, I guess, is that the right guy to highlight? I guess it is. Like, I don't know the Giants lineup well enough, but I just thought to myself, is Devers the right guy to say, like, Judge against Devers? I think it is, right?
Probably.
Probably.
He is. I also am not like super familiar with their depth chart, but I'd be surprised if he's not their highest paid player.
They don't have a lot of star power right now.
And so,
No.
and that was a notable trade last offseason. The Red Sox
for
kind of
sure.
blasted off after they divested themselves of him, either coincidentally or otherwise. So it's a pretty notable trade. So, yeah, I mean, I think I could get there on him. I don't know who else I would want to highlight.
I couldn't even name anybody else.
No,
Right.
that's what I'm thinking too. Probably nobody there. But yeah, and then I know the Yankees are on the road for that, right? So they don't really come back to Yankee Stadium until April at some point. So yeah, it's here. Baseball, it's crazy.
Let's go.
It's got to be. I mean, I think hockey actually is the shortest offseason. I said this on the air one day a few weeks ago, and I said baseball. And Marty Biron texted me right away. He's like, hockey, and you're right. If you go deep into a hockey season, you're playing into June, and you only have 2 months off. Then you're back at training camp in September.
Yeah, what hockey does is take the finals into June, and then the draft is like immediately after, and then free agency is July 1. Like there's a pretty intense news cycle. And then after, the first week of July, it's dormant.
Right.
Not in terms of like players and time off, but just
Until
sort of
like
the
mid-September,
league news.
third week of September, that kind of thing.
Yep. Well, also in terms of the calendar, the NFL draft is 1 month from tonight, April 23rd. A lot of buzz today on my Twitter, at least, Sal, about the receiver we've talked about, born in Rochester, KC Concepcion, Texas A&M. And I just keep everything I see. Maybe it's, you follow a certain smallish number of people, and if they're all like-minded, so be it. But it's still always very positive on him. Like the the metrics are good, and Matt Harmon's got charts about how he can get open and do all this. I wonder if he even makes it to the Bills, but if he does, what then? As we've talked about a lot, whether or not you could still see the Bills go wide receiver in the first round after trading for DJ Moore. What's your latest on that?
I still think it's really possible. And here's a big reason why. I think today is kind of highlights this. Look what Jackson Smith and Jigba got today, right? I mean, like, you can't just try to keep grabbing these receivers that are already on pro rosters and paying them these monster contracts. If you can get a guy and you can have him, receiver I know it's not the exact same, but receivers kind of become like the quarterback on a rookie contract, right? It is $40 million a year for Jackson Smith and Jigba, right? I mean, and then you got to multiply that. That is one guy at a position where you generally dress 5 guys in a game, and the other guys aren't, always making peanuts. It's not going to be like that. You might have a guy making $10 million a year, and another making $6 million a year. I mean, you're throwing so much money at that room now. Well, how do you keep the costs down? You get a guy under cost control that you draft and that you have for 4 years, and then you make a decision. And if you want to, pay him, and yeah, great. If he's that good, if he becomes JSN, you pay him, right? That's what you do. You live with it. Totally cool. Totally fine. So I think that you have to, it's not just the position and where he fits. I think it's the economic model of the league right now on how you have to absolutely consider that.
Right, and they're doing this second contract for him. That's after only 3 years, right? As soon as they could do it, they did it with him, and that's one way to do it. You could try to extend the shelf life of that rookie deal, but if the guy is, obviously playing way beyond what you've got him signed for, it's good business to take care of a guy that you want to build around. So I get why they did it. But, but even that gets shorter, right? Like, if the Bills drafted this KC Concepcion at 26 overall, and he nails it. He catches 80 balls as a rookie, and year 2 is even better. And you're looking at that kind of something comparable to that as soon as you can, which is year 3. So, like, the life cycle even is that short, It's like Josh Allen. Yeah. The Bills did not wait until they had to do Josh Allen's contract. As soon as he was eligible to do a contract, they okay, I think we're all on the same, we all agree this guy's great. Okay, let's do it. And just, rather than, play it out. So even that opportunity you have there with that rookie contract, that shelf life can only be 3 years.
It as of right now, where the Bills pick at 26, according to Over the Cap data, does a good job with this. The cap figure for a wide receiver, for anybody drafted at 26, $3.5 million. I mean, you think about that, right? If you can get a wide receiver and you hit on him, and he's really good in year 2. And in year 2, by the way, his next cap hit for the Bills picking there would be not much higher than that, right? You're going to go up a little bit each year. I mean, you can get a guy $4.5 million. It's unbelievable. And then he can't negotiate and renegotiate for 3 years. So you're right. And I'll take my chances. I got to, Brandon Beane has made the one thing that's kind of come up over this couple months here is Brandon Beane and Joe Brady have mentioned, hey, you're paying your quarterback a lot of money and it's harder to build a roster that way. And there's been some pushback to that from fans, from media saying, no, it's not that your quarterback's making a lot of money. It's the guys in the bottom end that aren't contributing that you're paying too much to. I totally respect that point. I get it. But it is real that you're paying Josh Allen amongst the best in the league, and you're paying him that much money, and you're going to have to find other ways to pay the rest of your roster when you're doing that. I get it. And we can make definite, determinations and say, well, you shouldn't have paid Curtis Samuel, $6 million a year or whatever it was, $9 million a year. I get that. That's totally fine. But it is real that when you're paying so much of your cap to one position and one player, you have to figure out where you can find getting cheaper labor, so to speak. And I think this is the best way to do it. If you can get a really good – who are the highest priced players now? It's the quarterback, it's the edge rusher, it's the left tackle, and it's receiver now. If you can get one of those 4 positions and you hit on them in the draft, you get a cost-controlled player for 3 years at a great rate at a premium position.
I think this is the most – and you're a smart guy, so you led with this. This, I think, is the most compelling argument to not rule out receiver at 26
That's right.
that I think can be made. Because I mostly, I think like a lot of us, the Bills make the DJ Moore trade, and I'm like, okay, I just can't see them using 26 on a receiver. And I think push comes to shove, I probably will still end up there. But, you gotta respect this point. Like, Bean could look at it like, okay, yeah, sure, I did add DJ Moore, but that's only, what are they really hoping to get out of that? 3 years maybe, right, at the cost it's at, and maybe see if they can get out of it after that, if not sooner. I don't know, right? So you're going to need someone else, and the only way, like you're saying, to avoid having to pay double, which is what you do, right? You're paying premium assets and then the big contract for an established player. At least if you draft a guy and he's not Keon Coleman for 2 years, he hits, you're getting really that's exactly what you need when you have a $50 million quarterback, is you need value at some of these other positions that are, really, really helping you. I think the Bills' biggest problem, Sal, is the middle class of their roster is too expensive, and not like they maybe have too many guys that are pretty good, and so therefore they're getting paid in the middle of their position group, league average wise. But they're not moving the meter for you, but they're costing you, and cumulatively it just reduces, how effective you're going to be.
That's right, and I'm glad you guys brought up Keon Coleman. So, like, you take example, he's not costing a ton of money. Right now on the cap this year, he's $2.7 million, and they're very, very livable. But if he's not helping you whatsoever, I mean, that just gets added onto the pile of the extension you gave Khalil Shakir. You still have Joshua Palmer that you signed last year, and these things start to add up, and these guys got to play for you. They're not going to be, if he's going to be inactive, that's a totally different, argument and set of circumstances that's not good, by the way, that you have to account for. But this is a position where you're going to have to employ 5-6 guys on the roster, maybe 7. They did it at times last year, and those things start to add up. So that's a guy where I wonder, this is chicken and egg for me. Like, I still wonder if he's on the roster, okay, Keon Coleman. And I don't know if the Bills have an opportunity to move him. I still think they highly consider it. That's just my way of looking at it, just how all this is played out. But his status might also be determined by what happens on April 23rd and 24th and 25th, which is if they were to go out and draft a Casey Concepcion, I'd be like, okay, you can move on from Keon Coleman now. Like that, that's just go do it. Because what is he doing for you right now? I don't think he's doing anything. If you don't bring in another receiver where you think he's going to be at the top half of your depth chart, then you're kind of relying on Keon Coleman a little bit to do that. And that's a dangerous game right now to play.
All right, you're talking me somewhat into being more open to the idea of a receiver in round one. And this particular player, you'll find, this is not really surprising or meaningful, but you'll find mock drafts where he doesn't go by pick 26 and others where he does. So I think he'll be maybe the receiver to watch. Other guys are interesting too, like maybe Omar Cooper, players that Boston, right? Denzel Boston, who might have the talent to be drafted as high as pick 26. With Sal Capaccio, Mike Schopp, and the Bulldog here. So JSN, I was going to ask you about that separately, but we already did it. $42.15 million for that player. I guess, everybody's going to applaud it, right? You guys have already discussed it. I mean, just to have that season on a Super Bowl winner, nobody's going to mind if you're spending money on, a player that just did that for you, right?
No, but and here's the other part about it. Like, those numbers always get inflated, but even the guaranteed number is $30 million a year. Like, he's getting $120 guaranteed over legit. 4 years. Mm-hmm. I mean, that is legit, right? Like, oh my God, like he's getting paid, and he's awesome. So great. I don't think anyone's going to complain. Flags fly forever. He helped you get a flag this year, right? Championship banner. That's great. So I mean, I don't think anybody has any quorums with, that happening. They also, what are they paying Sam Darnold? I mean, that's part of the reason they can do it, right? They're not paying their top end guys like your quarterback the kind of money that, other teams are, and you can afford to do that in that window. So this is the economics of how you have to kind of go about roster building. It's not the same for everyone. It's not a zero sum game for everybody. So I think he's a fantastic player. When he was drafted, he was a guy that we talked about for the Bills, and it'd be great to have a guy like that on your team, and you draft him and he becomes what he becomes. No one can predict that though, right? I mean, like, who knows? I'm sure there are people out there going, I knew that guy would be great. I'm sure. Well, there's other guys that were taken before, a little after, whatever, that, bust out of the league.
Was it Garrett Wilson who played with him at Ohio State and said, this guy's going to be better than all of us? Olave was on that team, and Wilson. Yeah. And then, JSN had an injury in a preseason game as a rookie. and just did not hit until last year. He was fine, but last year was the explosion. Do you feel, I brought up the mock draft point with Concepcion in mind, Sal. Do you feel like you have a feel for the receiver flow in the draft yet? I mean, not that we're ever going to know for sure. I mean, you've had conversations and maybe listened to others where people talk about the depth at the position. People don't tend to say, like, it's a great year relative to some of the last few at receiver. Do you think you have a sense of, like, how in demand these guys will be?
I feel like from the people that I've listened to and kind of feel like they're plugged into what teams are thinking, that this draft, maybe more than a lot in the past, really comes down to what your flavor is. You know what I mean? Like, if you want a certain guy, you can get him, but where do you want to get him, right? It's not like there's not these slam dunk guys all over the place. Even Carnell Tate. You know, what is Carnell Tate even? And yeah, he might be the more consensus number one, I guess, by most people, but it just seems to be. And look at this guy, Casey Concepcion. He's not even 6 foot tall, right? I mean, if that's what you're looking for, and you want a smaller guy who can play and return punts and all that, that's your guy. If you need a bigger guy like a Denzel Boston, you can get a guy like that. This draft seems to be very much about what flavor you want to put on your team.
Yeah, and then you've got, like, I think Jordan Tyson was the guy that I feel like I heard the most about during the season. But now that we're into draft season, it's like there's a lot of concern about him being able to stay healthy, right? So, like, there's always, I mean, it's draft season. There's going to be questions and concerns about, you know, every guy. Rarely is there a perfect bulletproof prospect. I guess, I mean, it happens. But I feel like if Tyson didn't have injury questions, he'd be the guy people would be talking about, maybe even for the top 5. But he does.
Sure.
And so does anybody else really measure up? And that's where you get to the point you just made, where it's like, what flavor do you want, right? Mm-hmm. Do you want the guy that plays above the rim? Do you want the technician? Like, what are you looking for? Like, for me, at this point, I mean, I felt this way about Coleman 2 years ago. Just give me a guy that gets open. What's his best trade? He gets open. Right? In some way, somehow, he's going to get there. And this Concepcion today reads more like that than some of these other guys to me.
I agree. I think he fits. I like him a lot. Obviously, the Rochester connection is cool. That's not the reason why, but I like him a lot. I think also the Bills do have an opening at return man. I mean, that's a spot they need to have somebody. They don't really have a guy right now. Unless you're going to put Khalil Shakir back there, you could put, I mean, McCole Hardman, they have him. He could do it, no doubt. But, I mean, is he making the team, right? I don't know. Are you putting if he does, maybe that's the only thing he does. Casey Concepcion can check off a couple of boxes for you. And I just think that matters right now for what the Bills are looking for and how they're trying to build their roster, paying money around the roster. You're going to pay a guy a little separately to be just a return man. Maybe you can have a guy in your roster who can do both. It is the only position on offense that I think we'd all agree that they're not drafting offensive line. I know that they have, you know, a guard maybe competition. I know they lost a swing tackle over the weekend, which we can get to if you want, but you know, they're not drafting an offensive lineman. They're not drafting a running back. They're not drafting a tight end. To me, that's the only spot on the offense. And then, like, last year, right around now, as you guys know, like, going into the draft, I was very confident they were taking defense, like, the first 3 picks. Like, they're going defense, the first 3 picks. I think that seems right to me again this year. As of right now, still got a little time. But I think wide receiver is still very much in the window within that group.
No, when you laid it out the way you did, you're reminding me of how I felt really before DJ Moore got here. It was basically go do a thing, go do a big thing, right? Go get a guy, whether it's a trade or just a signing. You're going to need a guy, but I need another guy. I need another, you know, a guy that passes the test as being someone that could actually matter for them at receiver, so that I'm not, like you said it, counting on Coleman, right? If Coleman flies right and, you know, improves his, you know, attention to detail and being a pro and all that stuff, and can perform and earn his way onto the field over a guy you draft, okay, good for him, hat tip. But if I don't put that guy in place in front of him, then I am de facto counting on Coleman. And I don't think I want to be there. Like, if I get the right guy, it falls just right, and now I want to trade him, that's a better route to me. Or he's got a battle to get over this guy, because beyond the, you know, I'm just looking at the depth chart. Moore, Palmer, Shakir, And I'm into McCole Hardman and Tyrell Shavers, who's coming back from an ACL injury. And Coleman. Like, that's it. That's my receiving core. Nothing against Steven Gosnell, right? But
oh, please. Of course you have something against Steven Gosnell.
You got to do more than that. You just really do.
Right.
Otherwise, it looks like you are still sort of hedging. You're expecting Coleman to do something for you. And I don't think this organization should be looking for him to do something for them. If he does it, great. But, man, if you're counting on it, man, I think that's the wrong road.
I think, can I jump in here and say this? I think the optics on a potential Coleman move are really interesting. If I'm Bean, I have a tough time doing it. So I'm not getting anywhere close to what I paid to get him, probably. It's a dump. And
for sure.
If I'm the other team, I'm like, wow, they're so desperate to get him out of there on a team that's so thin at receiver that they're just going to give him to me. That would be alarming. I think if I'm Bean, I'd want to keep him and then maybe have the story written that, he was the problem, or coaching just didn't ever get the most out of him, more so than it was just a bad pick.
I hear you. I do. I understand all that. I think, to me, he's always been maybe a piece of something else you want to do. Do you want to move around in the draft? Do you want to move up? It doesn't have to be first round. You want to recoup your second rounder. Maybe he's with something you do to be able to do that. And then you can justify it a little bit more about what you're saying there, Mike, because you're right. Another team might be like, I don't know. Now, look, but we all know all it takes is one team to go, look, we really like that kid. We had him in for a visit. He'll be fine here. Like, we think we got the right people in place, the right coaches in place to be able to handle him. Like, that's all it takes for one team. And let's remember, it did take an extra year. I get it. Bean did that with Kyrie Elam, and he didn't play, right? He didn't play, and then they tried it, and it just didn't work. And he eventually moved off him. And like, okay, well, I'm going to have to trade this guy. Keon Coleman is, to me, the most interesting guy on the Bills roster right now. It really is, because if you do play it out with him, and you get through an offseason where you think he's kind of done everything right, what did Bean say? Do everything right like the offseason last year. And then things didn't go right. If that happens again, guys, I'm telling you, I don't think this organization has any desire whatsoever to be answering questions about why Keon Coleman is once again a healthy scratch every week. I mean, that just, to me, that creates a whole nother issue there.
Yep, that's interesting. What do you have coming up work-wise? I'm thinking maybe it's almost time for one of your series by position or something with the draft a month away.
I'm going to the owners' meetings next week.
All right.
Okay, that's work.
So I'll be out, I'll be 3 hours behind you guys, so we got to work that out. That was the thing. You texted me today about coming on today, and I'm like, yeah, and then this week. So we'll figure out this week, and then I get the owners' meetings next week, and there's not a lot of like rule stuff this year, but there's always stuff to learn at the owners' meetings. You meet with people, and then there's a new stadium coming, of course, for the Bills this year, and there's questions about that, the off-the-field stuff, the business side of what's going on, and we learned, by the way, last week down there at KeyBank Center, Pete Gwelly did for the NCAA tournament, and he answered some questions about like Sabres playoff tickets, Bills Stadium opening. The first big event should be the red and blue scrimmage that's happening there. Like, these are things that we'll get to about a week from now at the owners' meetings when we talk. So that's kind of next on the docket, and then I'll be diving a little bit more into the roster and what it is as we head towards the draft. And obviously, as you guys know, real quick, so the Bills did lose Ryan Vandermark, obviously, over the weekend. They did not match the offer sheet given to him by the Minnesota Vikings. I know we touched on what could happen on Friday. So it basically came down to a decision, and I think it was a tough decision for the Bills. Do they just pay another $700,000 more for a backup tackle that they were already committed to? Or do they say, no thanks, $4.2 million for a backup tackle is too rich for our blood, and that's basically what they decided?
3 hours, you kind of gave it away. The owners' meetings are not going to be in, like, Wisconsin or something. And we're going to find
Phoenix, Arizona, which, by the way, would be 2 hours behind if we did this a month ago, because they do not do daylight savings time.
No, they don't. Phoenix, Indianapolis is another one. Hawaii doesn't. They're just not going to listen. They're not going to listen. They're not going to join just because the rest of the country is doing something. They're not going to be doing it. All right. Thanks for today, Sal. I'm sure we'll talk again before your next trip.
Yeah, for sure, guys. Thanks.
That's Sal Capaccio on the Western Hotline. His appearances are brought to you by New York's only outlet, Liquor. When you need to stock up is the place to buy a case. What's your outlet?
What would be your call on Keon? 803-0550. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here. We'll do plenty more Sabres talk as well. This is WGR.
Couple of days off for the Buffalo Sabres following their 4-game road trip. They take 7 of 8 points available following yesterday's overtime loss to Anaheim. Paul Hamilton does have more up at our website, WGR550.com. We'll also touch base with Paul coming up later on in the show for the latest on the Sabres. And the next time they're in game action, it's going to be at home on Wednesday when they take on Boston. Tonight in the NHL, it's just one game on the schedule, 7:30, the Rangers. They do host the Ottawa Senators. And then in the NFL, wide receiver Jackson Smith-Njigba and the Seattle Seahawks do reach an agreement today on a 4-year, $168.6 million contract. $120 million of that is guaranteed. And Smith-Njigba now, with this, is the highest paid wide receiver in NFL history. And the Chiefs have officially signed tight end Travis Kelce to a 3-year extension. It's for $54.7 million. It can be worth up to $57.7. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones for Western York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
I know he has the drop problems, and sometimes he claps at the ball, but other times I think it's mostly a focus issue. At least on the film that I've watched from this past year, I think it's more of like a focus issue than an attack issue necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
I think he is just a guy that is going to help in offense, no question. And I actually compared him he's somewhere between Jaden Reed and Stephon Diggs.
Matt Harmon, friend of ours, on Texas A&M product KC Concepcion. Here the Bills are again. Really, it's kind of the same conversation every year. If we're going to bother with this idea, which I think we mostly want to, be open to, a receiver in the first round. But it's kind of the same thing every year, it seems, where you have a later pick, a need, and then the question becomes, can you settle for who you get, or do you have to move up?
Mm-hmm.
And I am not a fan of moving up. I would not have moved up for Brian Thomas Jr. It costs you more than just the words. Like, you have to trade some decent draft pick to move up, even late in the first round, a number of spots. But I was against that. I would not have traded up to try to beat Seattle, as it turns out, to Smith-Njigba. But you could easily, in hindsight, say, well, they should have.
Right.
That's Kincaid, I think, in that draft. There's also Treylon Burks. Nope, I always get that wrong. Flowers, Quentin Johnston, and there was one other one. I don't think it was Burks, though. I think he's a year earlier.
Yeah, I think that's right.
So I think the Bills are more...
Addison, I think, was the
Addison
other
is right.
Yeah.
I think the Bills are more in the condition of, and this is always where I end up, but trading down, having traded the second already, and then maybe I'm moving 26 for 40 and 60 or something like that. That is my speed with them. It always is, mostly when you're picking late like this. I mean, if you're picking in the top 10, I think it's a different conversation.
Yep.
But that's where I would be thinking. And that probably rules out this player.
If you trade, I think if you're getting out of there, it does not read to me like you'd be making this player available to yourself. You're going to need to pick him here, because if you go to 40 or something, he's going to be gone. I would think, because most things he's either like 4th, 5th, 6th guy off the board. And to me, there's no way that even if it's not the greatest receiver class, it would really be surprising if a guy that's pegged to be there, unless that's all way off, is going to last into like 10 picks or 12 picks into the second round.
And that's also what the last few years have been like. It's not just where the Bills pick, but it's like where you're probably slotting at a wide receiver overall.
Yep.
I mean, the Coleman year, it's Worthy, who is the 5th receiver picked. So that would have been, had the Bills just taken Worthy or someone else, wide receiver 5. How good is the player? Hasn't really gone that well.
Nope.
6 is Ricky Pearsall later in that first round. 7 is Xavier Legette. The Bills make the trade with Carolina. 7 receivers go in the first round. Then Coleman is 8. And there are a few others right after him.
McConkey is close by, I think. And he might be the best guy of the bunch that you were in that pocket that you didn't get. You know, I feel like he's better than Legette or Worthy or Coleman, certainly.
Or Pearsall or Jalen Polk.
Right. I am glad. I mean, I'm always glad when we talk to Sal. But I feel like talking to him, and I don't know if you feel the same, sort of brought receiver back into the window a little bit for me.
We needed that
for the Bills. I think so. Like I just been very sort of closed off to it. But I think as we talked it through with Sal, I think the case is not. I don't think you got to bend over backwards to make the case. It really all revolves around how much you want to count on Coleman, right? Should you be counting on Palmer even? Like he's going to be on the team. I think his contract tells you he's going to be on the team. He had an injury-riddled year, so maybe you just hope for better there. But that's still like, how good was he? And you're assuming he's a part of this. So, you can make a case you need to upgrade his position, but I don't think that's in the cards. But you definitely, I think, have to. I shouldn't say definitely. You definitely don't have to do anything. But I think it would make sense for them to cover themselves, if not with 26, then maybe the next best asset you have after that, which, unless you trade down, like you're talking about, that's then probably your third-round pick on Friday night because you don't have the second. You traded it away in the DJ Moore deal. I think anything else leaves you in a position where you look too much like you're hoping / counting on Coleman. And I just do not think you can afford to do that. It's flimsy enough to count on Palmer, I think. And you're already doing that. Like Shakir, to me, is bankable. It's, 75, 80 catches, 800, 900 yards, somewhere in that range. That's Shakir. I don't think, a guy drafted in the first round, a guy drafted in the third round, DJ Moore, anything they've done or will do really changes the outlook on Shakir, short of drafting a guy that has to play in the slot, which I don't think they'll do because they have Shakir. And he's a certain level of you can count on it. But I don't think the variance is real wide there. Like, I don't think they get someone that turns him into a 40-catch guy, nor do I think they don't do anything and he becomes a 110-catch guy. I think you've got a baseline and it's good. That's what he is. That's it. That's the only bankable thing. Now more it should be a bankable commodity. We just haven't seen him do it in a Bills uniform yet. Everything else is a question mark.
I think with Coleman, if there were to be a move, maybe the best result would be to do something like in August after you've built your roster, and then I can feel him out. Is it different? He's got a different coach now. Like, that could mean a lot toward him.
Mm-hmm.
And Brady is stuck up for him. We've heard that. And then you see what, your pieces, how your pieces fit. Maybe there's an injury somewhere else, and he's movable then. I don't think, like I said, when I was saying before with Sal on, that I would have a tough time as the GM trading the player, because I think I would look like I'd have egg on my face if I did that. I'm not going to get very much. And plus, contradictory messages from the Bills about how much faith they have in Coleman. I don't know. Like, I think I'd want to be able to get to camp and maybe even a preseason game or two, and then feel like I know better whether he has a role. And then, other teams have filled out their rosters by then too, but things happen.
Yeah.
And maybe I find a partner.
Sure, and I have a better idea, again, whether I draft somebody at 26 or I move down a little bit and do it in the second round because I recoup a pick, or I wait until the third round. I draft an edge rusher at 26, which is certainly a case to be made that they have. That's the other piece of this that has been the same every year while we've been focused on receiver, is they have other needs that are glaring. Is that too strong? I just they need some help at the edge. I just don't think Bradley Chubb and Gregor Rousseau are just like that's it.
Well, Sal always says Hoyt is the key in that equation, whether he's ready.
Right. Well, that's sort of what I was getting to off of your point about the receiver core. Wherever I pick it, I'm going to get another guy. There's going to be another guy here, whether it's a premium asset or not. There'll be another guy. And, yeah, by August, I've gone through all my offseason stuff, and I'm into training camp, and maybe I've even played in preseason games, and I have a reasonable expectation of what this other guy, whose name we don't know yet, is going to be capable of. What can he give me? right? Can he give me 20 snaps a game? That might be all I really need. And if I can count on him, but if he can do more, maybe take some of the special team stuff off of Shaver's plate because he's coming off an ACL. Like, what have I got here? And what role can he fill? And how expendable does he, if he makes him expendable at all, does he make Coleman? And that's, I'm making that with all the information I can possibly have. That decision is being made. Because I've lived with Coleman for another spring and summer. I've got a new guy that's here trying to find where he fits, and I'm trying to find out where he fits. And now here's Cole. And if this guy just slams the door in Coleman's face, then it's time to take a conditional 7th or a 6th or whatever I got it, whatever I'm going to get. I think is what I do just to be done with it.
I wasn't thinking that late, but. You'll take whatever the best offer is.
Yeah, I think I'm just going to sell him if I get the the right pieces, and he becomes he doesn't break the door down, and I put enough insulation around the position group that I don't having him is not it's just not necessary anymore.
And Palmer is in a sense lucky to have Coleman. I mean, that was 22 catches.
Yeah,
he missed a few games, not a lot of time. A chunk, and that was the big get. He was the big get last offseason at that position, and I mean, it was dubious. It was good money, if not great, and he had a career with the Chargers that was just kind of there, like never a fantasy starter, Palmer, and he certainly wasn't one for the Bills. I mean, that's maybe his worst season was last year. So Coleman will be. Sal called him the most interesting player on the team. This Gardner Johnson will be interesting to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not Coleman, who might it be? But Palmer, goodness, 303 yards. You didn't need volume in terms of receptions, but you needed plays. No touchdowns. I mean, you didn't get really anything electric from Palmer. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here, 803-0550 for your takes. How about the Sabres at this point? How important for you is first place? They've still got it with 4 more games down from last week, all out west, still that 4-point lead over Tampa. We'll talk to Paul Hamilton at 6. Lines open between now and then. This is WGR.
Bulldog here for
Welcome back. Sabres home from the West Coast. Next up, the Bruins on Wednesday night. So many big games ahead, including for the Sabres in this Eastern Conference race, especially like tomorrow night. The Sabres are off tomorrow, but Ottawa at Detroit. The Penguins play, the Lightning play Minnesota. Carolina plays in Montreal, big for Montreal. So this is like that time of year, of course. There's just such or so little separation still in the East. Like I don't know where to land. I mean, the Sabres have to keep winning to be safe, and then it's a matter of who they might play, and I don't know how much difference it makes given how close everybody is in the standings. But, of course, we'll be all over it here. Congratulations to St. Francis. St. Francis High School won the national championship in hockey over the weekend.
All right.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, love to hear it.
You looking over the baseball win totals?
Anything else? No, you asked a question right before we started about Josh Palmer, and I'm sort of skimming through, and I can't find. He had no stats in the Denver game.
No
snaps in the Denver game. He may have missed it with injury. I don't know. I can't find it anymore.
You would think.
Yeah, right. If he had no snaps, that probably is telling.
I can't remember either, though.
I mean, but we know Hardman played, Coleman played, Brandon Cooks played, Shakir played, so.
He didn't play against Jacksonville either.
Okay.
Or at least had a target. I mean, he didn't.
Wow.
Didn't.
Yep. All I've got is regular season stats. I'm going to the game log, and there's nothing for playoff games.
Well, that's a miss on us because we should remember if he was
right.
out.
I don't. He played 12 games total for the Bills,
and neither playoff game.
Yeah,
not great.
Nope.
So you weren't looking up baseball win totals. Good.
I was not. No.
Because I am here to ask you to guess the highest three and the lowest three as the baseball season is about to start. Actually, in terms of highest through Bet Online, there are three tied for second. So it's really like top four.
Let me just give me one moment. I just want to get some teams. I want to be able to look at some teams.
Okay.
In order to
the Seattle Pilots have moved, so make sure you're looking at a current list.
Okay. Let's see. What do I need? The highest
top win totals and bottom.
Okay. Well, top's got to be Dodgers.
Yes,
Dodgers. I looked at a couple Fridays ago. You were off, and I had Sam on, and we talked about division winners, and it was insane to me how big a favorite the Dodgers were compared to any other division favorite. Like they're like minus huge money, like 650 or something, and anyone else who's a favorite in a division is barely minus money if they are.
And this takes a couple of potential guesses off the table, but in terms of win totals, they are 20 higher than second.
Okay. So they'd be an obvious pick to me to have the highest projected win total.
103.5.
At the other end,
I couldn't bet that. I could not bet a team to win more than 104 games or 104 games or more. Like, probably you should. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, how many games at least will the Dodgers lose? 50? So, like, what's top? 110, 112 would be probably the ceiling.
Right.
And they're tough in fantasy because you don't pitching like Yamamoto, the star of the World Series. He's even going to pitch 150 innings. They don't need him to.
Yeah, right.
They need to get their guys to October, which they probably will do very easily.
Well, this guess on bottom, lowest win totals is I haven't looked at any projections for this year at all, right? I'm just like what did they have? What was last year like? I'm going to guess that the Rockies, the A's, and the White Sox in some order are three of the bottom win totals in baseball.
It's not the A's. The Rockies are the lowest by a gap. The White Sox are third. Washington is the second lowest.
Okay.
And then, interestingly, is St. Louis. And my Cardinals friend thinks, like, we're bad.
Yeah.
So usually don't see St. Louis like a 69.5. 3 teams tied for second behind L.A. for the most?
Detroit, Yankees, Mets.
Mets is right. Mets and Yankees are both right. What are the Mets doing there? But okay, 90.5.
Right.
The other one is Seattle.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Seattle is a fairly slight, not super slight, favorite in the AL West over Houston. Mets barely over the Phillies. Cubs in the NL Central. Tigers by 3 games over Kansas City in the AL Central. And then Yankees with Boston and Toronto tied, 87.5. Not super optimistic for the Blue Jays. And then 85.5, the Orioles. And if you're wondering how my fantasy draft went Saturday, I have all the Orioles.
Great.
I don't know. If I lose, it's too many Orioles. Simple as that.
Mm-hmm. Story old as time.
Also, it was 9 hours long. You would have loved it. 2 kinds of people.
I don't know.
The rare breed that likes a 9-hour draft. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog back after this on WGR.
We've been living in sin so long, all the feels are gone. Fella stopped me on the street last night, said everything's alright. Roller coaster, make it through the day upright. It seems your meal ticket is gone, but life goes on. I could never imagine something better. Yeah, right. Now you're cooking on high heat in the middle of the street. Roller coaster, take me to a better time. Let's go! All sing your high line with the roller coaster of life. Yeah. It's time to all choose your timeline on the roller coaster of life. You seem to easily forget how to place your bet. When everyday life gets you down, you gotta steal the crown. Got to own it. Don't bitch and moan about nothing to sneeze at. Oh, I've told you over and over again. You gotta get both hands around it and make your own plans. Roller coaster, it's taking over. It's about time. Oh, sing your high line on the roller coaster of life. You've got to all choose your timeline with the roller coaster of life. Roller coaster. I want to go down the rabbit hole, down the rabbit hole of life. And now it's about to leave. Oh, roller coaster.
The Buffalo Sabres are heading back home after 4 games out west, where they took 7 of 8 available points following yesterday's overtime loss against Anaheim. Paul Hamilton does have more on the 4 games up at our website, WGR550.com. And do stay tuned. Paul is going to join the show in just about an hour at 6 to give us the latest on the Sabres. But in terms of game action, the team will have a few days off. They'll be back in action on Wednesday at home versus Boston. Around the rest of the league, though, just a single game tonight. 7:30, the Rangers. They host the Ottawa Senators. While in the NFL, we have a highest paid wide receiver in NFL history. It is wide receiver Jackson Smith-Njigba. With the Seattle Seahawks, they reach an agreement today on a 4-year, $168.6 million contract. $120 million of that is guaranteed. And the Chiefs, they have officially signed tight end Travis Kelce to a 3-year extension. It's for $54.7 million, but can be worth up to $57.7 million. And baseball is back. Opening night is live on Netflix this Wednesday, March 25th. Aaron Judge and the New York Yankees clash with Rafael Devers and the San Francisco Giants. MLB opening night, Yankees-Giants, live on Netflix, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That's Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones from Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
It's Mike Schopp
You might be mocking me or you might be staunchly agreeing with me. I can't tell.
I'm mocking you.
and the Bulldog
What is Fozzie Bear's role in this production?
on WGR Sports Radio 550.
Favorite Sabres moment from the weekend?
I gotta say, for me, the Thompson goal in L.A. on Saturday.
1-1.
1-1. It was into the second period. You know, I was in a packed bar, so a lot of excitement, expectations, and it was just such a great play that he made individually. I can't think of another play from the weekend that was a cooler play, and it tied the game. So of course, big reaction, and they went on to win from there. That was a pretty great moment for me.
Took the pressure off a little bit.
Yeah, right.
Because you don't know. Sabres have pushed back on this pretty hard. Like, I wanted to say, they're going to lose at some point. And then you're almost halfway through a game or so.
And I, of course, had the last time I had been to this bar for a Saturday afternoon game was the game that ended the 10-game win streak. Like I mentioned on Friday, like I just have a little bad. Like I'm gonna go. I want to go. I'm gonna enjoy it, especially if they win. And I regret it if they would win and I wouldn't be there because I was scared because the Columbus game didn't go well. But still, scoreless early second period. Well, Sabres hadn't scored yet. LA was up. Like, hey, come on, do the thing. Okay, he did the thing. Okay, good, we're fine.
I'm going to pick the second goal from that game. I can't get enough of Benson. I'm just loving him. I mean, He takes that elbow, that forearm on that play on the wall after essentially dribbling the puck across into the zone, which was challenged. But I think my understanding of it is you can't challenge something that happens outside of the blue line, right? Is that what we got there? I think there was something like that was explained. Marty got into it.
I didn't. Did I mention the part about being in a crowded bar?
Yes.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I didn't get a great. I thought they were reviewing for a high stick there. I didn't even know for sure what was happening there.
Yeah, I think it might have been, but it was outside of the blue line.
Yeah.
Maybe it was close.
Yep.
But yeah, he sort of bobbles the puck to himself,
right?
Gets in, and then just gets wrecked.
Yeah.
I suppose that's clean too, like the one in Vegas, because big guy, little guy.
Right.
That's always fine because
Yep.
what? What am I supposed to do? I can just elbow you in the head and it's not a problem. He just jumps right up from that hit. And the guy might have stopped for a second after throwing the check, and there it's Carrick, who goes in underneath him and walks into the slot and scores. And that's for the lead. That's the winner.
That's 2-1, and then, right.
I can't get enough of Benson. I don't know.
He is. He is. And he's not even, to me right now, at his – Paul and I talked about this one day recently. I don't think you were here for it. Paul thought – this maybe is a week old, but Paul thought, he's not all the way healthy yet. He otherwise, I think he'd play his way back onto the top line. He'd be playing with Thompson and Tuck. And he's still playing on that fourth line. But, I mean, it's paying off. He's just such an interesting character. The fact that at least one teammate, Tage Thompson, said publicly on some video podcast I saw that he thinks Benson might be the dumbest teammate he's ever had in his life.
Oh no!
In a lovable kind of way. He's just he's just such a. His face, his size, the way he plays, everything about him is absolutely endearing if the guy's on your team. And if he's not, you're just sort of who's this little dirtbag? But he's our guy. I adore watching him play. Really, really, there's a lot of character there.
Yeah, the one day, maybe a month ago or so, we were talking about the Sabres and their jerk quotient or whatever it was.
Yeah, right.
And that's been, at times, I would say, in their history, where they've been somewhat lacking. 99 goes to the finals, 98, 99, or 97 to 99. That stretch, they had tons of it.
Oh, yeah.
And, they overachieved. I'm not saying that has to correlate, but I'm completely good with how much of that these guys have. And that showed up against the Lightning. These hits that he takes, whether they respond to it, the one in Pittsburgh with Malkin and Dahlin, I don't need the Sabres to be a team that just sort of like a cliche jumps in every time somebody goes down. And there was one where they just kept playing and won the game on it. That was my favorite. He's 200 games in now, Benson.
Yeah, I know.
And he's not 21 yet.
Right.
I don't know. They lost last night. I don't want to sound like I didn't know that.
But just barely.
Just barely.
It was in overtime. So
Good point.
They got a point, 7 out of 8 points. Yeah, I wonder how, it's funny, hockey can play tricks on you if you are thinking about your perception of a certain team, a certain rival, and that they're always this one way. Boston is the next game. Boston's coming in here on Wednesday night. And that's a team that I still perceive as probably thinking they're above you, even though they're not in the standings. To me, they could try to do a lot of what Tampa did a couple weeks ago when they come in here. We're the Bruins, by the way. And here's where it gets sketchy because I'm not sure who the guys are currently on the Bruins roster for this. You know what I mean? I'm not sure who they've got, right?
Zadorov,
but
maybe.
Okay, good place to start. That's a headhunter, knee guy.
He scored on Saturday night.
But
too.
he'll hurt you, kind of on purpose, right? But I could just see the Bruins wanting to test this. All right, are you ready for this? I was talking to a Bruins fan friend of mine yesterday afternoon about this. Like, how good are you? Like, honestly, I'm just asking, like, how good do you think your team is? Are they good? Or are they just kind of like going to get in good? It's like, it'll be interesting to see if they can play heavy in the playoffs and whether that game, whatever kind of year they've had, they're outshined by a few teams in the division. But if we're capable of playing this way, right, along the walls and just muddying the game up, then, that's an experienced group there. Maybe they can pull that off. I just think every one of these teams that has historically been, everybody's taken turns being ahead of the Sabres. The Sabres have been in last place a lot. I just think everybody's going to want to turn at the, like, are you really up for this? You really, yeah. How about a spear in the groin? How's that feel? Yeah, all right, you want a little more? I can just see hockey teams being that way, and the Bruins, we'll see. Again, like, that's who they are. That's who their reputation has been. I'm not sure that that's still them, but I half expect them to come out like with foil taped on their hands on Wednesday.
I certainly don't have to tell you this, but that's always sort of the tactic of the second best team on the ice. You set up for a playoff series, if the other team is better than you, or at least their record is, and, you take your shots. The Flyers in 2006, right? What were the two teams? One was big and old and dirty,
Yep.
kind of, and the Sabres were fast and smaller, so what happens? And you can't be something you're not. I don't think you want to be what I'm saying is, and I think you'd agree, this piece with this Sabres team seems in character. It doesn't seem like a team that's forcing it in that way where, I'm just going to have to jump this guy because that happened. No, it seems like authentic, which I think is good. So the underdog will probably want to do that, and if reputation and history and those things factor into that, then so be it. But you're probably right, and you got to figure out how much time and energy do you want to invest in trying to keep up with that, because it doesn't have to work. Like you get in the box, and you could see it all slip away right there.
Yeah, I think the reason, just to fill it out from my line of thinking, because I agree with you, I think the underdog usually takes on that role. In this case, like, it's a little bit, to me, yes, I don't want to end up on the wrong end of penalty things. What I'm hoping I'm going to do is I'm going to get you to overreact. Like, I'm going to push you in ways that, teams get pushed at this time of the year, and you're new here. Are you, do you know the move? Do you know when enough is enough? Right? Or are you going to go one too far? And so you're going to get the extra two. I just think it's a tactic to try to use on a greenish, non-experienced playoff team. I'm going to try to, I think I'm going to win the series by intimidating you, but I might get the odd extra power play out of it, and that's maybe all I need. It's the playoffs. We're in a tight game in game one, and I suck you into something stupid behind the net, and you take the extra penalty, I score, I win 3-2. Thanks for coming. I think it's stuff like that be trying to just sort of set it up for you to see, can this team emotionally handle themselves if we tweak them? I think the Sabres should be ready to get tweaked. I think I would do it. Like, that's why you could see Tampa coming up from a million miles away a couple of weeks ago. The Sabres all said it. They knew that was going to happen. I think there'll be more of that over this next 3 weeks or so.
Even into the playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
Well into a series.
Yeah. Yeah, you're up 3-1 late in game one. You better believe there's going to be cross-checks in the neck and all kinds of crap. Because that's just how it goes. Like, welcome back.
Yeah, really. How about Carrick here? 4 goals in 60, then 5 and 9, did I see? I'm not sure he scored last night. He scored against the Kings, that 2-1 goal. Pretty good little bump in his production.
It's been a really nice little ad.
I think so, too.
Yeah, I think you would have taken no goals from him if he was just going to play, win some draws, kill some penalties, like fill that role, like real, like experienced NHL player. But the offense is, that was a beautiful goal he scored on Saturday afternoon.
He's big in that Tampa win, too.
Yep.
Fight,
and the goal that was the one that was maybe easy to forget, right? Because in the midst of them going up on you twice by 2, he scored to make it, I think, 6-5.
I think.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm. Very exciting. 803-0550 if you want to join us talking about how this is all going. Playoffs less than a month now. Sabres will be in. We don't have that official, but it certainly continues to trend that way. Boston, Wednesday. It's 4 in a row at home now. Friday is Detroit. Big games, and, of course, for those teams especially that are trying to get in. I mean, really close for so many teams right now. Seattle is here on Saturday, and then they'll be coming off a game against the Lightning, I believe. And then the Islanders early next week.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing that we need to talk about that needs to change, is there? Like, it's just
with the Sabres?
Yeah. I mean, when they got to Vegas, it was, just more of the same with the goalie rotation and the lineup, anything that needs to be dealt with here, and there really didn't seem to be. And I would say after another week down, it's the same. I don't know. Keep alternating, right?
Yep. Yeah, I don't think there's anything that needs to change there. I do think since, this time last week, I think it was, do we really need to see Stanley and Schenn together ever again? And so far we haven't seen them together again.
Schenn just has the one game?
2. He played 2. And there were mistakes in both games. There was a bad pass at the blue line that led to a Washington goal that probably should have been saved, but it wasn't. And then you had the bad giveaway against Toronto, and he hasn't played since. And largely, I think that I hope that is because they view Metsä and Stanley as sort of stabilizing that third pair. I was out at the bar Saturday. I watched last night too. I feel like that's so far so good. I would say the two of them together, and I hope it stays that way. I mean, they'll have Timmins maybe at some point as an option, but Metsä, to me, has played his way into the playoff lineup. And it can still change. There's 11 games left. But I like and you can spot him here and there with the other 4 because he moves around and moves the puck really well. So he can give you a blow there too. But he and Stanley on their own have looked credible enough for your third pair.
It's rising tide. I mean, it's like not to say that Metsä or Carrick or anybody else that plays a lesser role than the top guys don't deserve the credit for it. But it's really, again, 2006, a team where there's just less pressure on those guys maybe, or it's less necessary that your third paired defense or your fourth line forwards really produce and excel for you because you've got a team here where they can get away with it often without that. But then you had that with that team 20 years ago where suddenly guys that you didn't even really know anything about in the beginning as it took off, we're like, wow, this guy's maybe pretty good. And I don't know if Campbell is the one I want for this, but remember how Brian Campbell for a few years was like fringe NHL.
Even in 05-06, he was like a spare part for the front end of that year.
And then suddenly, again, I'm not trying to take credit away from him because he's the one, of course, responsible for it. But now your team takes off and confidence can come with that and just the different benefits from being on a team that is really rolling. And so it's kind of both things. The fact that Metsä has been good is helping with all of this, but it's also helping him that, he's on a team that has just been so hot for so long. 803-0550 for your calls. Sabres in action next on Wednesday against Boston. Thinking about the playoffs, Bulldogs going to Montana. This is not a superstition thing where you're going to leave the area for the playoffs. It's not like that at all. Just a coincidence. Unfortunate coincidence. You'll be away.
That's absolutely, yeah. I mean, I made plans before they got hot is all. And I did not really think about the end of the hockey season when I was
Can't be blamed for that.
I was looking at flights. I was looking at the lodge we're staying at, their availability, and trying to fit it into our lives. And I was like, okay, well, mid-April sounds good. And like a lot of things in life, back before they won 10 games in a row around the holidays, I was not thinking at all about when the hockey playoffs would begin because we don't have the hockey playoffs. I live in Buffalo. So I'm free to go, make sure I avoid the NFL. I want to be here for the NFL draft. That was okay. So squeeze it in before that.
That's the 23rd.
Right. So I'm a week ahead of that. Okay. I should be fine. Wasn't even thinking at all about the hockey playoffs.
There's another thing that we used to think about that we never did, which is what if they play on the night of the draft?
Right.
We need a plan. I'm sure there is one, but we need a plan for if they play on the night of the draft. What should it be? We carry the games.
Yeah, I think draft coverage has to go somewhere else.
Oh, the NFL draft getting bumped. Wow. They'll probably play on one or two of those draft days.
Yeah, it would stand to reason that yeah, right. Even Saturday too, but I'm thinking about the Thursday, Friday. Saturday the thing will be over probably by the time if you played at night.
You could play a day game,
but you could play a day game on a Saturday. That's right. Yeah, you're looking at depending. Maybe the first round's over and they're just resting, waiting for everybody else to catch up after they sweep whoever they're going to play in the first.
It'd be pretty
round.
quick. I don't think they can pull that off quite that fast, but yeah, we used to have that.
No, that's right. Thursday might be if you start Saturday's going to be the first day of the playoffs, I assume.
Right? The 18th is the
18th.
date.
Okay.
Saturday's right.
So if you played Saturday, Monday, Wednesday, you can't wrap up a series before the draft. Probably.
Fun to think about.
Yeah. But having to, I do this every year for the NFL draft, watching other playoff hockey games, and I end up just sitting there staring at the draft. Like I always think, I love the hockey playoffs. I'm going to watch the hockey game. And the draft starts, and I'm just like, I love the draft. I love the draft. It's not a hockey game, but it's like super compelling, and I end up just sitting there. So a Sabres playoff game is a whole different thing, though.
Oh, it has to be.
I think you're just going to have to tell me who they pick.
We'll break into coverage.
Sure,
we'll break into.
I don't know, whatever. I'm just saying. I think my attention will not be. I will not be that interested in what the Chiefs are doing early in round one. I'll want to know eventually, but at 8:00 that night, no, I ain't got time for that. The Sabres are on.
I remember being at a Sabres game during the draft, maybe 6 or 7. One of those years they were home.
Yep.
Maybe the Islander series. I don't know, whatever. I think Terrell Troop happened when I was at a Sabres game.
Boy, that's a name.
Memories of Terrell Troop. When he was drafted. Where were you? I was right outside section 117, I think. That's how I remember it. Very cool. Well, Benson, Carrick, the Thompson goal, great play in L.A. Yep. Comeback last night. I had a parlay with a power goal on it.
Oh,
that hurt to lose.
Too bad.
Yeah, I didn't get the Anaheim guy. And who was the other one that I had? Tuck. Oh. I won on Doan and Kreider, which was good.
Good.
I texted you and we talked about it a little bit. I just checked it, on a whim yesterday afternoon on the app, and the over/under was 6.5. And they're coming off these games where they're just not giving up any goals. So I thought maybe that was a sign. Doesn't have to be right, but it did work out. There were 11 goals in the game.
Yeah.
So everything was parlayed with the over, which was, exciting. When Anaheim would score, I would, too bad. But what if it's my guy? Never was.
Mm-hmm.
Gauthier?
Yeah, I don't, yeah.
Well, Kreider was, but
right.
Gauthier didn't.
It sounds like you had a lot of guys.
I had a few guys,
at least 2, anyway. Yeah.
I did it differently than you do it. You have one bet, usually, with multiple.
And depending on what the odds are like, I augment it with other things to get it up to where, 10 or $20 is going to win me $2,000.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the Thompson hat trick was around 4,500. yesterday in this game against Anaheim, so I did the over. I had the Sabres -1.5 and the over, and I think Dahlin for 2 assists. That's a sweetener. I sort of feel like if it's a game where Thompson's gonna get a hat trick, I'm gonna trust that Dahlin's gonna pick up a couple of points.
And the Thompson number is coming down all the time, or
it's been really to me unbettable, like in the 3,000 range, which is just no. It was double that when I was doing it every time. So
right.
I haven't been messing with it much at all. Sunday was the first time in a long time that I bet it, just for the hell of it. Because I also had, like, you texted me, and I guess I would also, like, I know Anaheim can play, though, any of those. San Jose's the same way. Like, they don't really D it up that great, but they've got a lot of talent, and they can get into a kind of back-and-forth game with you. And I just sort of felt like maybe that game smelled like that to me.
1 hat trick this year for Thompson against Montreal in January. 4 different Sabres have hat tricks. Thompson, Dahlin against the Leafs. Tuck against the Kings, the home game against the Kings, and then Quinn last week against the Sharks.
Yep, or a week before. Yeah.
Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here.
Last week. Yeah, whatever.
March 10th.
Yep.
803-0550 to join us. We'll get some football in. Paul Hamilton on the Sabres coming up at 6. This is WGR.
It was a successful 4-game road trip for the Buffalo Sabres, taking 7 of 8 available points. They did lose in overtime, though, last night against Anaheim. Paul Hamilton has more on this up at our website, WGR550.com. We'll get more on the Sabres. Stay tuned. Coming up at 6 o'clock, Paul Hamilton will join the show. And then the Sabres will be back in game action in a few days. They'll be at home on Wednesday versus Boston. Tonight, though, just one game in the NHL. It's at 7:30. The Rangers host the Ottawa Senators. While in the NFL, we have a new highest-paid wide receiver in NFL history, Jackson Smith-Njigba. And the Seattle Seahawks reached an agreement today on a 4-year, $168.6 million contract. $120 million of that is guaranteed. And the Chiefs have officially signed tight end Travis Kelce to a 3-year extension. It is for $54.7 million, but it can be worth up to $57.7 million. It's Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones from West New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
Moore follows Benson. Benson for Carrick. Slides it to Darlene. Walks and fires. Rebound in front. Still loose. Now the side. A chance. They score. Zach Benson. And the Sabres have stormed back to take the lead at 5-4. And listen to the Saberhood in Anaheim.
In the end, the Ducks take it with an overtime goal. Late power play to tie it. And then the breakaway. Terry is the player?
Yeah, Troy Terry. Yep.
6-5. Sabres and Bruins, Wednesday night, 7:30. Tonight, Ottawa at the Rangers. That's it. Lots of action tomorrow around the league. Tampa is home to Minnesota. Tampa now has 7 home games in a row.
And you're right, they have Seattle right after this. That's their next game on Thursday after this one.
7 at home, 4 away, 2 at home. That's Tampa. 13 games. Sabres 11 games, 7 are home, but not in a row. 4 in a row, starting Wednesday. Yep, that's another one. Checking the Lightning schedule.
Right.
That's something I was prone to doing very often.
I had a listener sent us, I think, I'm not sure if you got it or not, but sent me the Carolina Sabres Tampa with an eye on, like, first in the conference. He termed it the President's Trophy, but the Colorado's going to win that. So there's a race for the first spot in the East. And so in a calendar form, I've got all Carolina, Buffalo, and Tampa schedules all set here on a little screen grab, which is nice. Thank you to the listener who I don't have the name in front of me because I thought enough of it that I grabbed it off Twitter, saved it to my photos. So I'll have an easy reference point for those 3 teams. I don't have the whole league here.
Mr. Technology.
But this is a little bit like, you get to like week 14 or so of the football season, and it's okay.
Right.
What has Pittsburgh got? What is, just line them up. Who's everybody got? Home, away, like what's the story there? And sort of try to keep tabs on that as you go. So thanks to this one listener, I have that now for hockey. At least those 3 teams anyway.
I am enjoying all of that. But I'll say again, I just don't think I care that much how it ends with respect to first place. What difference does it really make? In theory, you get an easier matchup, but by what measure? Like right now, it's 1 point. And that isn't always going to be what it really is anyway. Somebody misses time from an injury, best player on the team comes back, and they finish lower in the standings. But now you got to deal with that guy. It's home ice. The Sabres have been incredible away. Fine here, but what is it now? When were they 18-2-1 on their last 21 road games?
I don't know,
Middle last week?
Their away record all year. Forget about just from that Edmonton game on, right, where the 10-game win streak began. Their overall record on the road is 22-11-4 this year.
And it would still be true,
really
I believe,
great.
that 3 regulation road losses ago was against the Flames back before any of this started.
Right.
I mean, that didn't change last night. They won the other ones, of course. So that's really what it is. I don't know. I don't need to go deep with it because, it's fun this way, and they have a real look at it. But the regular season, I've always said, should mean more than it does in sports, especially in this sport. I don't know how. I guess that would probably have to mean fewer playoff teams, and that's never going to happen.
Right. Or more of a reward for winning the top spot, like a bye or something, but that's not the playoff format, so that's off the table too.
I do like what the NBA does.
Play in at the bottom?
Yeah, like a best of three kind of a format. It's not quite that what the NBA does. I have exactly that. And what would you talk about? Like whether that few days off is good for you. In football we think it is. Don't we always? I mean, does anybody walk around with the bye week is actually bad in football?
No.
I mean,
well, there is like rust people, but that is just that rust people. I think rust people, that's become an antiquated notion. I think everybody respects the rust.
Yeah.
Just get me the rust. It feels to me like the rust people that barely even have the heart to make the argument anymore.
Rust people.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the difference right now is the difference between playing Boston or the Islanders. Those are the two wildcard teams, and you would draw the top wildcard team because the top spot in the East gets the weaker of the two. That right now, by a point, would be the Islanders. So you would draw, the Sabres would draw the Bruins in that case.
And that's bad?
I don't think it's bad. No. I mean, it's a wild card team. It's not one of the top three in the division, which, yes, theoretically should be a more favorable matchup, a team that hasn't had as good a year. But this is where I raise my hands and say, if Ottawa, raise my hand. You don't raise two hands unless you're like on a roller coaster. They raise my hands and say, if Ottawa ends up being that team, if like Ottawa ends up in that Boston spot, that doesn't feel like a great prize to me. Because I think Ottawa's a team I'd rather not deal with. I think if they get in, they're going to be coming in on a heater, and they have had an excellent year except for their goalie. So that's not saying like that goalie couldn't, Omar couldn't be a problem for them in the playoffs, too. I mean, that has happened before. I mean, the 1 year they went with him in Boston, it didn't go well. So, but all the same, like that's the prize. I said earlier when we talked about this, to me, it's almost entirely. Yeah, it ends up being a point about momentum. Really, it's just I've had this great year, this great back half of the year, and I just kind of want to see you win 7 of these 11 games or so. Like just stay on the heater. I think that'll get you the top spot in the division, if not the conference. And I mostly just want to see that you can just continue to win in a variety of ways, even on days where maybe you don't have your best stuff. But you're just good. You're sound. You're doing all the little things right and defending well. Last night was not a work of art. I mean, it was a pretty sloppy game. Even the winner was a sloppy play in overtime where Thompson just got beat and got, the puck taken off him, and that was, ball game. So it's not like they're impenetrable or anything, but I'm just saying it would be to me a good sign if they can just kind of keep going without a dip here. Like we're always – when they won 10 in a row, like, oh, well, there'll be a losing streak somewhere. Well, it hasn't happened yet. They've not had a losing streak. And the longer I can go without one, that'll have me feeling like I don't expect this team to lose 2 in a row in the playoffs. And that's a good sign. Like if you're just trading even, you're at least going to be alive, if not, winning, in short order in 5 or 6 games or something. But if you're not in the habit of dropping back-to-back games, that's a great spot to go into the playoffs with that, sort of that vibe that we haven't lost back-to-back games since when? It was before the Olympic break, and it wasn't even regulation, I don't think, right? One of them was an overtime result, I think.
Tampa. We lost to Pittsburgh in regulation.
Right.
I'm not going to ask you if you think the format is perfect or can't be improved upon, because I think I don't know how you feel about this, I guess. This is also something we just doesn't come up very often in recent years. It seems unfair. And Gary Bettman recently, in his endearing way, as always, just like almost defiant about how everything they do is actually right and how the format is right because it's, better matchups, I guess, is part of it.
Yeah, right. Like the Central is a good Dallas. This year's there's a division every year where this is true, where two of the very best teams in the league are going to end up playing one another in a first-round series because of the format. And so that'll happen with Dallas and Minnesota, presumably. And, yeah, his point is, well, at least we know we get that matchup, right? Because it's the way we do it. So one of them doesn't get upset before they can play. Okay, that's irrefutably true. Like
now I'm throwing both hands up.
You've got it, right? But here's my problem, and I don't think I ever did, because this is like Travis Yost's pet, one of his very pet projects. Like, he's just always there with this format. And he commented on this thing the commissioner said, and my thought was, yeah, you get the matchup, but it's one of 8 series that are going on. And, like, what it does is it doesn't give that matchup the stage it deserves. These are two of the best teams in the league, and I've got 3 other games going on at the same time that this game is happening, and so I can't. Whereas if it, and again, there's no guarantee, but if it falls right and you get a matchup of that caliber in the conference final, it's the only game on that night. Like, everybody's watching the marquee matchup. And this way, like, I'm barely paying attention to Dallas, Minnesota, because I got 4 series in the East going on, including my team.
The world needs Dallas versus Minnesota that badly.
I don't know. I mean,
it's really, to me,
it's just this year's example.
No, you're right. To me, there's 1 point and 1 point only. Fairness. Simple. Again, the regular season doesn't mean that much this way. It means less. Because you don't allow for the teams that achieved the most in the regular season to play teams that achieved less, necessarily just based on where they are on a map. Dallas and Minnesota have to play each other because they're in the same division. But you have teams who have points in the 70s in the Pacific Division who are at this point going in. So, I don't know. It's simply that for me. It's a penalty to the better teams. And the idea that, any particular matchup is really like the one you need in the first round, because to your point, like there are other options usually. That's true too, but it really just could be fairer than it is.
Yeah.
That's it.
I don't think you should the season is so long, and like Dallas is having the better year of those two teams by 5 points, Dallas and Minnesota. But like, so you're going to post presumably a 105 point season. You're Dallas, and your prize is to play the 4th best team in the whole league in the first round of the playoffs. That sucks.
That's right.
That's just not that is unfair. Like, it's just not. It's not how it should be.
Yeah, I mean, it's ironic that this is true because it should be the number one thing, but the fairness in this case the NHL and in sports really should be paramount, and it just cheapens the regular season that much more. For many years, I have wished for the top teams by points being able or being tasked with choosing their opponents. Go in order. Do it any way you want. I don't know in the Eastern Conference if it would mean much different. And teams might wimp out if they had to do that anyway, just to avoid feeling like you're calling someone out, out of turn. If Carolina goes first and doesn't pick whoever it would be, the Islanders, I guess, then it would be, kind of like scandalous.
Right.
But it's also fairer to the team and super interesting. Mm-hmm. I think probably the East would line up maybe exactly the way that it will anyway this year. Years are different, and this example in the Central would be interesting for this test, depending on how you wanted to set it up. Make it by division, make it by conference, don't make it by either. 1 to 16 if you want.
Right.
Colorado can pick anybody it wants. Maybe it would pick, Nashville or something like that. It might be who they get anyway.
Right.
Do you think we'll ever see the day?
No. I think we'll see it. You've seen it already, right? Isn't the Women's Professional League, I think, did this last year.
Okay.
Right? Small pool. I mean, it was only a handful, like 4 teams but whatever. They chose.
Yep.
So it's got some traction. I just think that within your talking about it there, you said the point. Teams would wimp out. Like, teams do not want to put themselves in like Carolina does not want to look at the other 7 teams and go, I think you're the worst. I mean, that's awesome for fans, but like the team does not want to be put in a position to have to do that.
Yeah, I say tough, but
so I know, right? But I think for that reason, I don't think you. I mean, the decisions this league makes are rarely based on entertainment value. I mean, this is a league that gave us the offside review and continues to give us the offside review, and is never going to take the offside review away. And I just cannot believe that anywhere near a majority of hockey fans want that in the sport. They hate it. I mean, I know, the one time it burns you. Okay, whatever. It's just the whole thing sucks. They don't care about entertainment, so they're never, the owners and the GMs are never going to put their name on, oh, yeah, no, I'll pick my playoff opponent. There's no way they'll ever do it.
Okay. Somebody would have to make them. I agree.
Yeah.
And it's not usually how it works at sports at this level. All right, I'll stand down again for now.
Well, it's a great idea.
I think it is a great idea.
It's never going to, I don't think I'm not optimistic it'll ever get there.
You like the NFL draft maybe more than any actual sporting event. Why? It's not even really sports. It's just people sitting around talking. Right. But the drama of it and the decision-making part of it is, riveting. I agree. I love it. I love all drafts. And this would be that. Make it a TV show.
Mm-hmm.
Carolina's on the clock. Who do you want?
Yep.
How great would that be? But yes, you would have to force them kicking and screaming into a system like that. And I shouldn't hold my breath. Paul coming up at 6, back from the trip. Sabres and Bruins Wednesday, 7:30 here on WGR. A friend of ours texts to inform me that he has his first fantasy baseball draft tonight in forever. Got any advice for him? Run! Get out! Hurry!
Don't do it.
Don't do it to yourself.
Is it going to be 9 hours?
That's tough if it's at night.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mine was actually Bulldog, only 7.5.
Try to get, look, I should be taught. I spent 6 hours in a bar on Saturday, so, like, who am I to judge? You try to get Ohtani. He's good.
Try to get Ohtani.
Yeah. He's a good player.
He's convinced you?
And he pitches, too. Like, he's not just a hitter.
You don't need to see more?
No, I believe he's 1 in a million, even. I'm willing to say that at this point.
How about Carson Benj? Is that how you say it? I don't even know how you say it.
Not familiar. Don't know.
He is going to be the starting right fielder for the Mets.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Top 10 Baseball Prospectus. I had my head in that book over the weekend for this draft, and he was like top 10 prospect in the majors or in the sport. And he got the call. He made the team. So there's one for Brad. Carson Benj. That doesn't have to work out. Benj.
No. But, it could.
Is that how you would say it? Benge.
Yeah, Benj.
Benj.
Yeah.
Then you could be Benji.
I was going to say it could be Benji.
That'd be your nickname.
Right. Or that could be how he says his last name.
Right. We don't know.
In which case,
no way to find out.
His nickname would just sound like his real name, which would be weird. Then you need a different nickname.
I loved the long draft. I always do. It's a great day. And why it goes so long is we do an auction, then there's a break, and then you do a snake for your reserves. So auctions are the best. I would hope, for our friend's sake tonight, if it's feeling like you're a little bit over your head, I don't think you want it to be an auction. I think that's just really harder, much harder.
Sure, yeah.
To be able to sort of get by. You kind of have to know. Although this is really sort of what I just did. I mean, I didn't know that much. I didn't prepare very much this year anyway, either. So good luck to him. Want to get a report next week or tomorrow. See if he gets – who's your guy again? Ohtani.
Yeah. Yeah, him.
That's the top guy?
Get him, yeah.
Seems right. Paul Hamilton back from the West Coast after the update. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here, WGR.
out west. They take 7 of 8 available points following the last night's overtime loss against Anaheim. Paul Hamilton does have more on yesterday up at our website, WGR550.com. And do stay tuned. Paul is going to join the show next. For the Sabres, though, they're off for at least game action for the next few days. They'll return on home ice Wednesday versus Boston. Tonight, though, just a single game. It is at 7:30. The Rangers do host the Ottawa Senators. While in the NFL, wide receiver Jackson Smith-Njigba and the Seattle Seahawks have reached an agreement today on a 4-year, $168.6 million contract. $120 million of that is guaranteed. And with that, Smith-Njigba is now the highest paid wide receiver in NFL history. And baseball is back. Opening night is live on Netflix this Wednesday, March 25th. Aaron Judge and the New York Yankees clash with Rafael Devers and the San Francisco Giants. And will be opening night. It's Yankees-Giants live on Netflix, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones from Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
It's Paul Hamilton.
Oh, Cervatic and Hamilton going to each other, and Sawinski. But they do it.
We have to fight.
With Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Snodcheck was just totaled by an Iowa State player against the board.
I think it was by Hamilton.
On WGR.
Really a pretty unnecessary hit by Hamilton. Hamilton is still awfully mad. He's being held back.
Number 17, Paul Hill. 2 minutes for charging, 5 minutes for fighting, and a misconduct.
Sports Radio 550.
Iowa State looking good. Florida lost by 1. It's gotta hurt.
That's too bad.
Sorry for Carlin.
There goes our contact with the defending. Well, I mean, we could still contact. But
Paul probably knows people with the Iowa State program, wouldn't you think? Maybe the AD or somebody like that?
I don't know. I don't know how plugged in Paul is.
How about it, Paul? Who do you know with Iowa State? Anybody?
I thought you were saying Iowa, since they're the ones that pulled the upset. I don't know anybody with it. I never even got to the University of Iowa the whole 4 years I was there.
That's just a coincidence. A friend of mine is on the bench for Florida, and they did lose to Iowa. I know the difference, but yeah, I shouldn't have made that confusing.
We're muddying the waters on you. Yeah.
No, I thought that's where you were headed when you were saying that, but you didn't go there.
No, was not. Nice trip, Paul.
Yeah, I didn't mind 94 degrees as I sit here in 30 degrees outside of Channel 2 studio speaking with you, but. Yeah, it's kind of a culture shock when you're gone for a week and, you know, you're in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and then you come home and it's the 30s. And so it was very nice. It was no rain, nice sunshine, good hockey, and, it was a good trip.
And you managed to move relatively effortlessly through a few of our nation's airports. So I know you're it was a little bumpy to start, right? Getting to Vegas was tough.
I was able to avoid leaving out of LAX. I came into LAX, and that is certainly a blank show. I left out of Ontario because I was in Anaheim. I had the red-eye flight at 11:55 last night. So leaving out of Ontario, I was basically the only one going through security at the time. So I've had very good luck. But coming up, we have the Rangers, and that's JFK, and we have the Blackhawks, which is O'Hare, and that...
Nothing taken for granted here. We'll see what happens.
Right. We'll hope you make it to all of these destinations.
Well, I mean, I don't need to start with the loss. I'm thinking of the trip more of the 4 games together. The Sabres getting 7 out of 8 points out west. Any new takeaways from you about where this team is at or going from this trip? I mean, it's more success on the road, which we've talked about a lot. You have a comeback last night, which maybe a lot of fans were sort of not seeing coming because they've been so good and fortunate, but you can't win them all. I don't know. Do you have any new thoughts on how this is all playing out?
It's almost identical to the 2 trips down to Florida where they picked up 7 out of 8 points with the Panthers and with the Lightning, and the 1 point they didn't get with the Lightning, they gave up. Took a penalty, and with like 26 seconds left, the Lightning tied it on a 6-on-4. And then the Lightning won it in overtime, and the Sabres were just furious with themselves because you just went to Florida twice and picked up 7 out of 8 points. That's excellent. But they weren't happy because they said we should have had 8 out of 8 points. And it's the same thing happened. I mean, they went and won the first 3 games out west, and then they're behind 4-2. And when they're playing their third game in 4 nights and a back-to-back, they come out in the third period flying, score 3 goals to take the lead, and then it happened again. Took a penalty with just over 2 minutes left to go in regulation, made it a 6-on-4, gave up the goal, and lost in overtime. And so, again, they understood. They did say yes. If you would have said we can get 7 out of 8 points coming out West Coast for a trip, you would take that. But they still were upset that they didn't take all 8 points just because of the way it happened. And it was interesting how it went the same way on both trips. And the other thing is, the Tampa Bay Lightning were on a 4-game road trip too. And if you're the Lightning, we just left and took 7 out of 8 points, and you know how many points we picked up on the Buffalo Sabres?
0.
None.
Right.
None.
Right.
And we just took 7 out of 8 points. So they have to be hitting their heads against the wall too.
Yeah.
Maybe they will respect the Buffalo Sabres one of these days.
Is there any reason to be concerned? We've talked a lot, Paul, about how successful this team has been this year at protecting those late leads. There's been occasion where they've had a 2-goal lead and give up 1, but still end up, getting it home. But now you had another game like you referenced, this one in Tampa. Maybe the key is to stay out of the box when you're late trying to protect that lead, and don't give the opponent the man advantage plus the goalie pull for the 6-on-4 like you've referenced here.
And Bulldog, that was a bad habit they had, and they kind of gotten out of that habit. But unfortunately, it reared its ugly head in this game. And, I look at the trip itself. I mean, look at the Vegas game where they protected a 1-0 lead for over 40 minutes. I mean, they got the goal to make it 1-0 late in the first period, and they protected it all the way to when they scored the empty netter to make it 2-0.
Yeah.
So, it's one of these things where I'm starting to learn they can play the game however you want to play it. If you want to be tight and you want to make it a low-scoring affair, they have done a good job of protecting the 1-goal leads. If you want to go run and gun like the 8-7 game, or look at the San Jose game. That's a 0-0 game. The Sabres aren't playing real well, but at the end of the day, it's still a 0-0 game, even though they weren't playing well.
Right.
And then in a minute and 43, it's 3-0 Sabres.
Right. That's ball game.
I mean,
right.
It's just like boom, boom, boom.
Well,
so, they can kind of do it the way you want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And, because in the playoffs, you never know, but I don't think we're going to see an 8-7 game in the playoffs. So
I'm inclined to agree. Yeah. Probably not.
Yeah. So, it's more likely you get the 2-1. Now, of course, you have to get great goaltending, and it wasn't like the thing I really like about Luukkonen and Lyon is how they fight. They just fight it wasn't Lyon's night for 40 minutes. I mean, it's the first time I've said that in how long?
Yeah.
It just wasn't his night. And then Lindy Ruff told him, because he told us afterwards that we're all right, it's 4-2, we're going to open it up here. So you're going to have to make some saves for us. And he did. There were at least 3, maybe 4 breakaways, clean-cut breakaways in the third that he made great saves. He made another one right on the doorstep. Robbed one of I don't remember who it was, but robbed one of the players right in front of the net.
It's Mike's guys, Gauthier probably. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Gambling talk.
And,
go ahead, Paul.
And that's the thing with Anaheim. I didn't realize it till Elliot Friedman pointed out that was the 8th time this year that they have scored a goal in the last 2 minutes to tie a game.
Yeah.
And the record for the NHL had been 6. So they're very capable of doing it, and they've done it all year. So if you dare them and give them a power play in the last 2 minutes, you're probably going to eat it, and they did. But Lyon, I really liked the way Lyon fought in the third period to hey, all right, maybe the first two periods weren't what I've been doing, but I'm going to stay with it here, and I'm going to try to help my team win a hockey game.
I don't know what kind of week they've got here. I mean, is tomorrow an off day, or is tomorrow going to be a practice day, or what do you think?
Tomorrow's practice.
Okay.
They were off today.
I wonder if penalty kill. You get 3 power play goals. Yes, the last one was a 6-on-4, as that mitigates a little bit. 3 power play goals in this game yesterday. The only goal LA scored on Saturday was a power play goal. Walking away from the weekend, that would be the one thing that I'm like, okay, am I buttoned up there? Because I need to be buttoned up there. Their penalty killing has been a definite strength of this team all year long. And I would think, as much as we focus on the power play and needing that to get maybe somewhat reliably hot to win playoff series, the penalty kill is just as important. And that was a little rocky for power play goals against the last 2 games.
Well, in the whole trip going into that game, they had given up 1 goal. It was on the power play. I looked back. The Sabres had not given up a 5-on-5 goal since 53 seconds into the second period against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Domi scored. That was the last 5-on-5 goal they'd given up. And then they did give one up yesterday against Anaheim. But until they gave up that 5-on-5, because Anaheim's first 2 goals were power plays, they had given up 3 goals on the trip. All 3 were power plays. The 6-on-4, hey, you got 2 guys loose. I mean, you got to have a little bit of luck if you're going to get through a 6-on-4. Kreider from the circle and Bulldog, I always like to defer to you a little bit when it comes to goaltending. Lyon looked to me like he read it perfectly and was there. And Kreider, of course, is a power play specialist with the Rangers and now with Anaheim in that circle, and he snuck it by him. And if I'm Lyon, I think I'm saying to myself, I should have had that because I thought he read it perfectly and was over there.
Right.
I don't know if you would agree with that. So
he beat his glove on that one? Is that what happened?
Yeah, again, you got a guy over in the circle over there, but it looked like your goaltender had it or should have had it.
Yep.
And you had the 6-on-4 one. So I think it was just maybe one of those nights.
Yeah.
And of course, Panarin got the 1 goal that they had given up until the Anaheim game
by
from the circle, and that is Panarin.
Right. Yeah. And the pass was elite from Kopitar. No look backhand. Hard. I did not fault whatsoever. Luukkonen was not ready for that at all. It was an elite pass, I thought.
So I just gave you a wordy answer. No, I'm not extremely concerned with the penalty kill.
Yeah.
And the thing is, too, Tuck took the penalty. He's your best penalty killer.
Right.
So on the 6-on-4, you don't have your best penalty killer out there either.
What did you think? I mentioned earlier, I think, and we were already on this train of thought, I think, by the time the weekend got here after Thursday's game, Paul, thinking like Metsä and Stanley, I still think that looks like it's going pretty well. I like that as a third pair, and I have no reason to do anything different for the time being. I know when Timmins maybe gets back eventually, maybe they'll want to try to mix him in. I don't know, but I like the way that pair looks now.
Yeah, well, Timmins would help with the penalty kill definitely. He was really good with the penalty kill, but he had turnover problems at 5-on-5. I think Metsä would grade out quite a bit better than Timmins did. No, there's no reason to come off of Metsä. I think he is squarely their number 5 defenseman. I don't even think it's close, even if everybody's healthy. I really think he has earned that spot.
Yep. And I think what's nice about him, Paul, is they will still sprinkle him in to give one of the top 4 a break here or there within the game. Like, here's a shift with Dahlin, right? Like, I think that is valuable to have in your third pair guy that's probably, only going to play, 15 minutes max maybe as a pair. If he can take a load off for power Byram Dahlin in any way, shape, or form, I think that's also really, really valuable.
And I feel he's helped Stanley settle down. I did have Stanley as my walk-off first period interview in one of the games, and I think it was the Los Angeles game, and I asked him about being out there with Metsä. He said he's really liked it. He said they had a chemistry almost immediately, and he's liked playing with him. And I think Metsä, at least Stanley knows if he makes a mistake, his partner's going to be there for him. And, and still I can still say the same thing I said to you last week and the week before and the week before that. The last time Metza gave up a goal was in October when he was on the ice for a goal, and he's only been on the ice for 2 against. Now on this trip, a couple almost went in, but the goaltenders either made a save or I remember one looked like a wide open net and they hit the side of the net. He almost wound up giving up a goal while he was on the ice, but that is still intact for him.
Going back to one of your first comments, Paul, you referenced the Florida trips and how similar the results were, but also how the Sabres sounded, I guess, after the loss to Tampa and maybe last night. That I think you're implying that you really like this trait about them.
I do. They're not. They acknowledge that it's good that you get 7 out of 8 points, but they also acknowledge that they should have had 8 out of 8, and they're very angry that they didn't, and they have nobody to blame but themselves in both cases. You took a late penalty both times and gave the other team life on a 6-on-4, and even in the overtime, that wasn't like, oh, Tage, what an awful turnover. The puck came around the wall hard, and he was over there, and as he got to the puck, it seemed like he tripped over his own skates. And then he tried to get his balance, and while he was doing that, it appeared like he kicked the puck. He didn't mean to. And he kicked it away from himself.
Yeah.
And then Terry takes off with the breakaway. Yeah, that is a turnover, but it's not the turnover that I'm thinking of when you're talking about a guy turning the puck over with a bad pass or trying to skate through 3 guys.
Right.
He just lost his balance, and as he was trying to get his balance back, one of his skates kicked the puck.
Didn't Lindy say after the game that he thought Tage was maybe had a mind to try to play it back to the goaltender? I thought I heard Lindy say that.
But that's when he got kind of messed up because the puck was coming fast.
Yeah.
But that then I think he might have had that in his mind, but then he lost his balance.
Yeah,
and once he lost his balance, then he's trying to get his balance back, and he's trying to get his balance back. He accidentally kicked the puck. So it wasn't like, oh, Tage, what are you doing there? It's like, oh, bad luck.
Yeah.
And that happened, and it happens to be Terry, who Lyon talked about. He goes, I've faced him on breakaways before, saying he's one of the better breakaway guys in the NHL because he's nifty. So, and he certainly showed it on that breakaway too.
We had Benson in the middle of a couple of big plays this weekend, Paul. Ultimately the winning goal in the LA game came on a great play he made, and he paid a hard price with a big, hard, heavy hit on it as well. Carrick getting the second goal against the Kings. And then last night he has the go-ahead goal there in the third period for a short-lived 5-4 lead. How do you feel like because I know the last time we talked about him specifically, you had mentioned to me that you weren't sure he was all the way recovered from his most recent injury or health, whatever it was.
I don't remember which game it was. It was recent. That I think it might have been it might have been the Toronto game or right before that he was like, yeah, he's back. It looked like. Yeah. And I know it didn't surprise any of us that he took a hit to make a play to Carrick. And he took a hit from 2 guys. And that's the thing about everybody hates him in this league. Don't for 1 second think that McNabb didn't know that was Benson coming across the middle with his head down. He knew who was coming, and he laid him out. And 2 guys saw an opportunity to lay out Benson against the wall, so he takes the hit to make a play. Well, that leaves Carrick wide open because 2 guys are trying to put Benson through the glass. And Carrick, that was a pretty nice move, by the way.
Yeah.
As he came across to score the goal on the backhand. So, Benson, yeah, he does look like himself. And just to get him, what a pass that was by Dahlin to get it to Benson so he could deposit the puck into the wide open net. Dahlin has the goaltender over with him next to the crease. And just a little, he spun just a little bit to the backhand and put it right on Benson's stick. And Benson's got the wide open net in front, and he just puts it in. But Benson was where he was supposed to be, which is right at the top of the crease. But another really nice play. And by the way, Dahlin, again, up to 50 assists this year. He had 2 assists in that game to get him up to 50. And, you always talk about 50 goal scorers, but when you have a defenseman who gets 50 assists, that's good too.
Second in the league in scoring are the Sabres to this point as a team. Thank you, Paul. We'll probably talk next on the pregame show Wednesday.
Okay, sounds good, guys.
There's our Paul Hamilton, fresh home from the West Coast. His appearances on WGR brought to you by Raylax Honda. Raylax, we got this.
Is Dahlin in the picture for the Norris? Sneaky Joe had a odds chart for the Hart and the Norris.
I've just not heard him really mentioned at all.
Okay. He was maybe third or fourth on the whatever Joe tweeted.
Right.
Better question, is Norris in the picture for the Dahlin?
Mm.
That's really, maybe that's more interesting. Does he have a shot at the Dahlin, Norris? I don't know if Dahlin deserves it.
Yeah.
He probably deserves to be considered.
I think, Makar is just such a witch, and Werenski's having an incredible year. I just feel like objectively, those are the first two guys that come to mind. And as much as I admire and respect Dahlin's game, I think he's clearly third amongst those two guys. And I'm not even accounting for if there's somebody else I'm leaving out. So I don't expect him to have a realistic shot at it, I think is how I would say it.
Maybe a finalist, though. I mean, they have that.
Maybe.
Top three.
Maybe, yeah. I'm not sure if there's a third guy that I'm just not thinking of.
Who did you say with Makar?
Werenski, Columbus.
Okay.
He's having an incredible year.
There was Hughes, but he's been traded this year. I don't know if it would be
he's
high profile with that Olympics.
He's got to be in the conversation. That's the guy. Yeah, and Dahlin's behind him too, to me. So, I don't know. Those are probably your three guys, I would bet right now. Unless I'm forgetting another guy like Quinn Hughes, because Quinn Hughes belongs very much in that top three.
Cece?
Cody Cece.
Poor Cece. Why did I have to pick on somebody?
Poor Cody Cece is right.
Hal Gill?
Yeah, no.
Is he still bouncing around?
I think Lindy is our only hope for postseason.
That's awards. That's the one we need.
That's the one we definitely need. Is right.
Yeah, that would go pretty well. It would look good. We got him at 7-1.
Yeah.
And last time I was updated on this, he was like minus 250 to win, and I doubt that that's gotten worse.
Right.
Since midweek last week. I mean, even losing last night. Come on. 4-point lead.
Yeah, I think we're in good shape there. That's a reason to want first place.
Yes, I said that. That's really the only thing I really care about. Well, no. I was also thinking about the fans and opening at home. If you got first in the conference, you could do that 3 times, if not 4.
Right.
So that would be cool, but that would have meant more to me when I had the tickets, and I don't anymore.
Right.
That would be everything. I'd be consumed by it. It's just like, who are we playing?
Mm-hmm.
Game 1, home, away, all of it. I'm almost there anyway, but a little bit different without having the tickets anymore. Sal Capaccio joined us earlier going over a few Bills topics, including KC Concepcion, a popular draft pick idea. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, that's next here on WGR.